cooperation and nurture. The way that these two beings are like holding the flowers that are sprouting out of or maybe going into these cups. You are overflowing with abundance. You are able to share that abundance with others as well.
Very cool.
I started hearing twice and realized why.
Oh, because we're live.
Correct.
Oh, we're live.
Ren got the King of Cups.
I always think there's a little frog in that cup, and I get so excited, and then I realize it's a fish.
Unfortunately, it's a fish. Now that we're live, I'm afraid to do an actual.
You were doing so good.
An actual interpretation. I'm scared now. I get performance anxiety, so I'm gonna remind myself what it's about. The King of Cups is about compassion, control, and balance. The king himself is within the water, holding a fish that belongs in the water out of it. Recognizes that some things can be removed from where they need to be, but only for a short amount of time. Everything has its place.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I shuffled the shit out of this deck. What's happening? It's the queen. It's the Queen of Cups for Saul/Arthur. The Queen of Cups is also about compassion, calm, and comfort. She appears to actually be underneath the water. She is kind of in it and within it, which I think actually makes sense for our very wonderful game master/keeper, which is what it's called in Monster of the Week, to kind of be in it and within it and surrounded by others and having to like keep things cool, calm, and collected. And then for resident Catgirl Fig, I did not shuffle this deck well enough. I put all of these cards in order last time I messed with it, and I clearly just didn't do a good enough job. Fig gets the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups represents a messenger, romance, and adventure. I actually always remember that this one's about romance because of the flower coming out of the mouth, and the mind that contains many thoughts head full, all of them interesting. So I guess that is to say that Fig is going to have a lot to say in this coming session of this mystery.
Very interesting. Thank you, Masha. Appreciate the reading.
And a girl will have to learn how to shuffle her deck better next time.
Mm-hmm.
I should have done like a full spread. I forgot that I put everything in order.
A full spread, some prosciutto, some cheese.
Oh yeah. I cannot eat finger foods while I do tarot because then the cards would get greasy. But otherwise, it would be salami and cheddar every time.
Well, wear like eat chopsticks.
There's something really funny about the thought of eating a charcuterie with chopsticks.
I think it's fun.
I feel like it's a skill you have to practice.
I'm really good with chopsticks.
Yeah, if you know how to use chopsticks, you're all good.
Just depends on how big the salami pieces are.
Sure.
Oh, they're big.
So.
Hello, everybody. We're live.
We're live.
Hello.
Hello, Mario.
Hello, Mario.
Hello, Mario.
Thank you, Chris.
We have a lot to get through tonight for this to be the final session of my mystery. So we're just gonna go ahead and launch into announcements. That being said, everyone's got the script now. We did write it out this week. Tangents are fine because we have the script to always hop back to. But just to start us off, hello everyone, and welcome to TurnTables RPG. We are an experimental tabletop RPG stream where every player GMs and every GM plays. We take turns at the end of every mystery, switching out the GM and telling a long-form improvised story. We are currently on our 3rd season of Monster of the Week, and the final session of the first mystery run by myself. If you'd like to check out our previous episodes or previous seasons, feel free to check out our VODs on YouTube for my very handy and wonderful players / cast members / mods on the channel. I think the script also has the commands for Nightbot at the end of stuff, but I will go ahead and pass it off to Dustin.
That is me. It's because you said VODs. My phone is ringing in the background. Please ignore that. That's unimportant. Yeah, a lot of our VODs are on YouTube. Monster of the Week seasons 1 and 2. If you want to get caught up on this, season 1 is its own kind of separate thing, but season 2, this is a direct continuation of that. So you can always check that out. We also have Uncharted Worlds Return to OE, which is a wonderful space adventure where I get to play a cowboy, and my ship is my baby. All of our TurnTables one-page RPG content, if you like nice bite-sized things that you can watch and be done, one episode done so. And our first PowerPoint party, which is super interesting, and you can watch me talk about the Mario movie. No, not that one. Definitely follow us on social media as well at TurnTables RPG, and follow our Discord. The command is !social for those who are who wield their blade within chat. And then I will alley-oop it back to Saul.
Yes. Before we move forward, I wanted to make a very quick announcement. I just did the math today, and we are about 2.5 years into TurnTables RPG.
Damn.
Yeah, it's wild to think.
I can't wait for them to be able to vote.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, and we quickly just wanted to have an announcement about our Patreon. We've gone ahead and pivoted our support method from Patreon to Ko-fi, Ko-fi, whatever you'd like. Very easy to find it. If one of my mods would go ahead and do !KOFI, it should bring up the new link. And we just wanted to say thank you so much for the support. If you have been supporting us on the Patreon, what a trooper you are. Thank you a million times. Thank you. We just wanted to scale back to a simpler method just because as of this moment in time, we don't necessarily have the capacity to keep up with the content that we want to be doing for the Patreon. And we don't want to continue fostering a Patreon that we're not fostering this Patreon. So we've switched over to Ko-fi. Very easy, kind of like one-time payments. If you'd like to do that, the money goes to Chris will tell you about where the money goes in a second. But we just want to say thank you. If you have been a Patreon supporter, don't worry about it. You won't be charged for anything moving forward. It's completely frozen. Maybe later on in time we'll bring back the Patreon when we can, but for the time being, I think this is probably the better method for moving forward. So we just want to say thank you so much for your continued support and for all the support that you've shown us in these 2.5 years. Crazy stuff, but we're very excited for the new chapters to come around. So thank you for sticking with us. If you're mad about
the Patreon closing, punish Saul by giving a lot of money to the Ko-fi.
Correct.
And then I will
true.
keep making the joke of it'll go on the Patreon until the day we die.
Yes.
At some point, it has to become real.
If you give us a lot of money, you're punishing me, because then I have no excuses to give to Chris and his wild ideas.
Yes.
With that in mind, Chris, if you would please.
Yeah, coming to the Patreon soon. We've cut together all of my Twitch Prime bits with director commentary. It'll be very fun, all for the Patreon. But of course, it is true. Sadly, our Patreon is gone. We do now, of course, as Saul has just said, have our Ko-fi, Kofu, which is great. Yeah, and so if you want to give us money there, that's obviously the best way to just give us money straight up. But you don't necessarily get anything in return. But if you would like some little treats and goodies in return, such as access to our emotes, and whenever Jeff Bezos decides to throw an ad on our stream, you can skip those as well. You can subscribe with beautiful Twitch Prime. I was walking around campus the other day and I saw a flyer that said "looking for jerks," and I was like, "What does that mean?" I saw the hand and it was making this motion. It was a fist. I was like, "What does this mean?" I looked at this flyer and it said, "Looking for sperm donation. You can get up to $3,000." And I was like, interesting. So that's an interesting way to make money. Thank God I don't have to rely on that, thanks to the lovely donations of Twitch Prime and now our Ko-fi. So please don't. So please donate to Ko-fi, or else so I don't have to read ridiculous flyers such as that.
Your mom's usually on stream, right? Like for
Well, you know,
around this time.
there's nothing weird about that. It's a literal flyer I saw.
Mm-hmm. Mars,
Also,
please.
you will still have to read the signs.
No, I won't anymore.
I can. I'll rapidly pivot
Please
in
save
an
us,
opposite
Mars.
direction. Yeah, along with these updates, we want to give out a shout out to Patrick Costa. He drew the amazing artwork that you see on the overlay in some direction. Along with some full art designs that will be making an appearance in the next few weeks. You can follow him on Instagram and Twitter at PCInc_. So it's PC and then Inc. and then don't forget the underscore. I don't know why I just restated it. I went off script and it's gone bad again.
Very quickly, we should go ahead and call Masha's bluff. Eric, we love you so much, friend.
Yes, we do. Even though you cannot
Say it
hear
because
us.
I'm next in the announcements. Don't worry, I wasn't gonna be a liar.
How do I? How do
Hearts, big hearts to Eric.
You gotta do
And to
the
everyone.
little heart. Hold on, I gotta make sure I can see myself for the the little hearts. Whenever I do it, I feel like they don't look right.
Well, to me, it just sort of looks like give me the money. Yeah,
Hey,
the
give me
money.
the money. Here, this is for you, Eric. Just for you. My bad hearts.
Oh,
I
we're
don't know
not
what
doing
they're about. Is it? Are you supposed to? They're not. Whatever. Anyway, it's fine.
I think it came out good.
What does it say? What does it say? Oh my
I-
gosh,
He
what does he
loves,
love?
Dustin loves you.
Yorkshire puddings.
Young
No,
life.
you.
You.
What?
Everybody.
Eric.
And
Eric.
Eric. Eric.
Yay.
Anyway, now that
Incredible.
we've shouted out Eric, along with shouting out Eric and Patrick, we want to shout out the homebrew playbook creators that some of us are using for this season and also previous season. I currently am using the Tracker playbook, which was created by Mike Keck, and last season Saul was using the Amnesiac. He is no longer, but that was created by Jason Burns. You can find their respective links in chat, and you can also follow Jason Burns on Twitter at @JabmanB. Did one of you do the thing? Yes, one of you did the thing.
Yep.
Very cool. Thank you.
Cool. I think all that's left is just kind of like small little personal shout outs. So Dusty, tell us about yourself.
Hey, how's it going? I stream on Twitch. I've been streaming Octopath Traveler 2
Hell yeah.
the past couple of weekends. And I will likely be streaming it either tomorrow or Thursday again. So, yeah, give me a follow if you like or whatever. I'm currently raising money again to try and go to Zeldathon this summer in July, where we will be raising money for the charity Water, which does exactly what you probably think when I say the word water.
That's great.
They go around the world and dig wells for people to have clean drinking water, because there are people out there who don't have that. So yeah, I'm raising money to hopefully attend in person and see friends that I've not seen since before the pandemic.
Hell yeah.
I do want to say I'm so glad. I'm fairly certain, because my mother has not texted me angrily about the things I've said, so I'm fairly certain she decided not to watch today, which is
She
very
missed
good.
today.
Very great that she missed today. Hopefully she doesn't decide to rewatch just the announcements when it's uploaded to YouTube Friday. Yeah, cool. Hello, my name's Chris. I do art things. I do have commissions. I don't promote them, but I do technically always have commissions open, just in case you ever want some goodies from me. I will take your money, and I will hopefully use it like alchemy and turn it into art. Yeah, I lose a piece of my soul every time. It also says I must promote my grandmother's book, which I illustrated, which is The Antics of Roy Troy, and the sequel, The Adventures of Roy Troy, available on paperback and Kindle on Amazon right now for you to get. If you like books about squirrels and the things squirrels have to deal with, like finding out who their dad is and why mom keeps having babies.
That's scientific, right?
That and more all happens in book 2. Not like explicitly like,
Sure.
hey,
Oh, yeah,
squirrels,
yeah.
this is what sex is. It's like the squirrels are like, hey, mom, how is it that you keep having kids when we've never met our dad? And she's like, oh, he comes in and buys.
Gotta leave something for the readers to read, Chris.
Well, if you want to know more, well, wait, maybe that's actually, no, yeah, no, that's book 2. I was getting confused for a moment, but no, that's book 2. But yes, that and more.
Is there a third book in the works?
There is a third book in the works currently.
Turntables exclusive.
I just have to make the. You want an exclusive about the plot?
No, just that there's a third book coming.
I guess I could have described the more interesting things that happen in the book. Like there is like a battle and things that go on in like the first 5 chapters.
Very interesting.
So yeah, I guess if you're interested in that,
Follow the links.
I can't. The third book. I don't know if I'll recommend the third book. My grandmother doesn't watch these.
Now we gotta clip them and send them to Chris's mom to send to Chris's grandma.
No, my mother knows.
Mars, I think you are our last one.
I have announcements. It's called I Have an Etsy Store Now. They're all on the other desk in my room. I was going to show you some, but I have stuff that you can buy. I have original paintings and I have prints. That's what they're called. And soon I will have more things.
Right on.
I also do commissions and stuff, but
yeah.
The end.
At a certain point, the overlay will return back to our social media tags. Y'all are always welcome to follow us on there, and that I know for sure that on Mars and Chris's Twitters they've got their commission stuff up. Yeah, that should be everything. Thanks for sticking with us through that. I think we're just gonna go ahead and jump into the intro. Everyone, thank you for joining us, and welcome to Monster of the Week.
On and they're ushering you to leave. They're just like, no, I'm just gonna vibe here and
If
chat.
anyone hangs out in our chat
That's
when
the
we're not
dream.
around, I'm sorry.
That'd be hilarious.
That's the dream.
I have 5,300 channel points for Dustin. So.
Oh,
Wow.
nice.
Oh, that's a lot.
So yeah, you can hit me with all 3 of them. There is a 30-minute cooldown so that I don't die from people absolutely making me do.
Well, how many of each is
500.
it? Like,
It's 10 of
like-
each.
For
Okay.
1,000.
It's 10 of
That's a good
each
amount.
every 30 minutes. Yeah. It's basically 100 per.
Next time you stream, I'm just gonna fucking queue it up.
Yeah, you can hit me with all
Set a
3 of them
timer
at
on my
once
phone, like.
too. Like, yeah, but 30 minutes. I I will. Otherwise, I will die. Because people will absolutely just spam, do 10 squats, 7 times in a row, and then I have to do 70
I
squats.
I feel like 10 squats versus 10 push-ups is like such a different level of energy
Yeah.
expenditure.
Mhm.
I could probably do 100 squats, no issue. If you asked me to do 100 push-ups, I'd be like, fuck you, guy. Fuck you, my guy. I could probably do like 50, not like straight, but
I will say those squats will catch up to you at a certain point.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
oh yeah, I did my first squat workout yesterday in like for 2 weeks. Like I took a 2-week break from my big heavy lifts. And my body is so mad at me.
Yeah.
I hurt everywhere, not just my
Yeah.
ass, just everywhere.
If you guys can suggest me other exercises, I'll add those on too.
What if I had used
I-
that as a segue and been like, speaking of pains in the ass?
Do it
no,
right now.
No, I swear I won't.
Do it. Okay.
Um,
Dustin, I have thoughts for you. I'll message you though.
Message. Yeah, do it.
we start tonight with Fig, because
Oh,
it's a very important story that we have got to get through for tonight, for sure. Not that all of your stories are not important; they're all equally important, but this one has a lot more in it. So we, where we last left off with Fig was in the classroom of Miss Merrill, in the year 1998, and we left off with Sheriff Lester stepping into the room where the captain and Miss Merrill had already been waiting for him, holding up a VHS tape labeled evidence and saying that Kernunos, the wild god in the forest, had killed Daniel Foster. So, with that in mind, we enter into the scene. Fig, you are watching. I think you were on the ground at this point because you had failed the jump to open the window. And like had crashed into something or something along those lines. And the
don't worry about it.
and you watch as immediately kind of like Miss Merrill takes the VHS and kind of like puts it into the machine. Sheriff Lester walks over, or Deputy Lester at this point, and begins kind of like rewinding the tape within the VCR. And Miss Merrill goes back to the computer, and the captain hasn't moved. The captain is just watching in and of itself. But you see them turn on the TV, and like you're watching kind of like static for right now as it's like scooping through all the footage to get back to where it goes. What do you want to do right now, as in your kitty cat form?
I want to see what's on that video.
Okay.
I think that I'm going to hop back up on Miss Merrill's desk.
Hell yeah, that's what I
and
was gonna ask.
Just sit there because I've already tried to get her attention like 3 separate times to no success.
Sure. Correct. You were trying to get the attention of Miss Merrill because you had seen a group of like hunters essentially show up in the parking lot and head into the woods by themselves, or not by themselves. They were in a group, but
Yeah, a group of like 20 to 30, right?
yeah, it was up to 20, I would say. Yeah, for sure. It wasn't like a whole mass, but
Not
it was a good,
massive. Okay,
yeah,
up to 20. Got
for
it,
sure.
got it.
So you're sitting on the desk. You're watching Miss Merrill isn't even trying to look at the tape. She's currently looking at her computer screen. Also, Miss Merrill is not blind at this point. And she's typing on the computer on the AOL Instant Messenger, just like very quick messages. Do you want to pay attention to what Miss Merrill is typing, or do you want to pay attention to what's being rewinded on the screen, on the television?
Well, presumably whatever's being rewinded will eventually be played forward. So I think I'm gonna peep over and see what emoji Miss Merrill prefers to use in her AOL Messenger and how many. Did emoji even exist back then? I remember having AOL Messenger and putting like passive aggressive shit in my status when I was in like middle school. But anyway,
We'll go ahead and say you're watching the conversation kind of like fly past on the screen.
what's Miss Merrill's screen name? That's what I want to know.
It is
Totally love my vision.
Yikes!
I love her. It's um,
Get over
it's it's Antique Meryl 98.
Nice.
Well, she just signed up this year.
Correct. So she and so you're watching the Antique Meryl 98 kind of fly by on the screen, and you see that the other username is a little bit more vague. It's kind of like it says it's like 3 letters and like several numbers after it, but it says VHA like 395678, something along those lines. It seems very like a bot essentially from our modern day standards. That's a bot username really.
Yeah, first name, last initial, and 15 numbers. Yeah, all right.
Correct. And so you're watching the conversation wheel by, and you see that Miss Merrill is asking for their counterpart to fax them something. They are the first message says, "Did you go? Have you managed to scan it all?" The second message from the first message from the counterpart says, "I've gotten a good chunk through, but what are you looking for specific?" And Miss Merrill responds and says, "Wait on that, but do you have the files ready to fax?" And the next one says, "Yes, let me know." And we'll go ahead and say, once you finish catching up to the messaging, you hear the click from the VCR showing that the tape has finished and is ready to go. And Sheriff Lester's like, "All right, I'm not going to go through this again because I don't have much time. I have to take this back to the precinct sooner rather than later." The captain kind of like stays leaning up against the wall. He's currently sitting at one of the students' desks. He leans up against the wall, like one eye kind of like just, paying attention. Yes.
You finish your description, but I have a question before the plot moves any further.
No worries. And then Miss Merrill just takes her rolling chair and rolls to the side, essentially like right behind you as in cat form to watch the CRT TV. Go ahead.
Does Fig know anything about when and how Miss Merrill became blind?
Ooh, excellent question.
Like, would they have discussed it at any point? Because they've been living together for probably like 4 months or 3 months or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would say what Fig would know is just that Miss Merrill wasn't always blind. She wasn't born blind, and it's something that came on later in life.
Haha, okay. Roll the tape.
Excellent. So, you see Sheriff Lester presses play on the or we'll say he has a remote because we're not savages. It's 1988.
It's a classroom.
Correct.
You got a remote.
He clicks the remote, and immediately you hear the garbled sound of boots crunching through foliage and dead leaves and grass. You can hear the muffled sounds of men kind of like laughing and joking and things of that nature. What you see on the screen itself, again, the grainy kind of like filter of just kind of like VHS footage from a camcorder, kind of like it's hard to tell because one, the environment that they're in is dark, but you can see enough to where the camera is currently hanging next to the denim jean sleeve pant of somebody holding it kind of like at their side. When the camera does dip up, you can see from small little points of light through the dense foliage that they are certainly walking through the forest. Sheriff Lester kind of like fast forwards a bit and the images move. The leg is like swinging really back and forth really fast. And then very quickly it like stops for a moment. And when it's on fast forward and it stops, obviously everyone has stopped in the group. You see he pauses it here and he's like, "This is what started it all." And he presses play. And you watch as the cameraman lifts up the camera and you hear in the voices, "Do y'all see that? Wait, what is that? Is that
Shit.
is that a deer? Wait, hold up. And you see that he holds up the camcorder, and what the camcorder sees is a very out of focus pocket of light, like 50 to 100 feet away from them. And you see he attempts to focus and like zoom in at the same time. He does a pretty bad job of it, and like it zooms in first, and so like the pocket of light just comes closer and closer, and you can see that the pocket of light is moving slowly, and as it focuses, you see that it is some kind of animal that's currently grazing, and they're like, wait, what? And the guy on the camcorder, as very often people would do back in the day, they were like, it's December 19th, 1998. Me, Frank, Daniel, a couple of the boys, we are, it's the annual buck hunt. But this, I don't think it's not a deer, right? That's not what we're looking for. And you can slowly hear that they are crunching closer and closer. The animal hasn't run yet. It hasn't caught on. However, the camera slowly begins to focus, and you see a white horse is grazing in the middle of this kind of like darkened glen. Immediately you hear a branch snap, and the horse's head kind of like comes up slowly, and first the TV kind of like statics for a second, but you watch this like line of like this glitch in the video recording follow as it sticks to the forehead of the horse, and you watch the glitch kind of like start at the base and come up, and you know that this is a unicorn. And then immediately you hear a bang, and there is this high-pitched scream as the animal falls down to its knees and tries to get back up, and then just kind of like collapses down onto the ground. They pause. Sheriff Lester pauses the VHS tape, and he kind of like looks back at the captain and looks up at Miss Merrill, and you can see that Miss Merrill has a hand over her mouth, and she's slowly shaking her head, and she's like, those fucking idiots. He fast forwards the tape, and you get to a point to where he presses play again, and the hunters are now kind of like, they're holding up the unicorn's head and they're taking pictures with it, and the cameraman is like for sure kind of like capturing the whole moment where they're laughing with each other. They're like, no fucking way, man, no fucking way, how did we get this? And thanks Galaxy Fest for the raid. And they're holding up the unicorn's head like in a head hold essentially, and they're all like taking pictures, and like somebody's got like one of the Kodak cameras, and they're clicking it with like the flash, and like essentially parading their kill. And he pauses it here, and he says, we don't have to watch what comes next. It's not Jamie was a student of yours. You don't have to watch this. And you see Miss Merrill kind of hold up her hand, and she says, just play it, Lester. Just play it, Lester. There's a lot of gravelly voices in this one scene, so we gotta make them distinct. He like nods and presses play, and you watch the cameraman kind of like steps back like a couple paces, and he's like Daniel, hold it up, you're the one who shot it, Daniel. And so you see a young man, he's about, I would say maybe in his late 30s, kind of like comes up, he puts his gun down and kind of like like, you know, poses the one knee on the ground, one knee up, like soccer photo pose next to the dead unicorn. And you hear the clicks of cameras, and then there's suddenly the audio goes dead. And immediately you watch the kind of camera kind of like pan around. And suddenly the audio kicks back up in moments between the dead silence, and it's like, what was that? Where did you hear what? And in that moment you watch, like, as the man has kind of like backed up, the cameraman has backed up, two reflective eyes have kind of like begun to show in the background and are stepping up and are approaching the hunters from behind. And Daniel kind of like turns around, and you watch a massive hand grab onto his torso. The thumb and the forefinger of this hand are gripping the man's whole neck, and the three fingers are like wrapped around his whole torso as he is lifted up into the air. And the figure of Carnunos comes into view on the camera, and his skeletal mask with the wide antlers kind of like spreading out even darker in this, or larger in this space. He seems huge. And the audio continues to cut in and out. You hear the sound of cut off gunshots, the cut off sound of shouting. And there is this high-pitched ringing noise begins to come through the audio as the cameraman like falls backwards, tripping over something presumably, and the footage now can't like panned up. You watch as Carnunos takes Daniel Foster, slams him into a nearby tree, and his body begins to fuse into the wood, and his pained expression frozen within the bark as he becomes assimilated into the tree. And then the VHS cuts to gray, and Sheriff Lester pauses the VHS, and he looks at the members in this here, and he just kind of says, Daniel was the only casualty. Everyone else saw what Carnunos did, and they caught it on tape. There were 3 officers with me when we watched this tape, and they volunteered to go with Frank and the rest of the boys into the woods after Carnunos. I don't know what to do. Fig, at this point, you hear the captain kind of like, he like, you know, like the chair like squeaks as he kind of gets up, and he just kind of like stretches his back, and he says, Carnunos was protecting his own. I don't see a problem with this, and I don't know why you called me here. And Miss Merrill kind of like looks to him, and she says, what do you mean? This affects all of us, okay? You may be new to town, but this is important, okay? And you know what we know. The captain shrugs, and he says, my charge comes from deeper powers. I will not be distracted by the problems of you here on land. Carnunos watches over his charges, and I watch over mine. And Miss Merrill kind of like throws up her hands, and she says, what about the swim team, huh? You had to get a job to pay to live here on land, and now you're teaching those kids out in the bay. Tell me, do you not care about them? And the captain says, don't bring the lads into this. They're good boys. And Miss Merrill just kind of like holds up her hands, and she says, you have to understand, if this gets out, it'll be chaos. The community that we've built will tear itself apart. We cannot let this happen. And the captain kind of shrugs and begins to walk out the door. Miss Merrill again calls out to him, and she says, "It's not about survival of the fittest. This isn't the ocean. It's about survival in numbers, a pack mentality, community. When we are together, we are strong. Fear drives us to be alone. We have to stay together." And the captain looks back at her and he says, "You can't domesticate the sea. And so you cannot domesticate me." And he walks out of the classroom. At this point, Miss Merrill kind of like looks over at Sheriff Lester, and he just kind of shakes his head and he says, I mean, you know, I can't do much except help turn the blind eye from law enforcement. But I mean, I can try and go out into those woods and stop them, but they're liable to shoot me as much as anyone else. And Miss Merrill just kind of like, she's like, "Well, once again, it comes down to me." And she's like, "I'm gonna figure something out." And she looks at Lester and she's like, "Do you have any idea where the captain goes?" And Sheriff Lester kind of looks at her with like a pained look, and he says, "I mean, you know, the coastal trail that starts past the high school." And Miss Merrill nods, and he says, you can start there. As when I tailed him, that's as far as I got." And Miss Merrill kind of like nods, and Fig, you watch as she quickly turns to the computer and types in, "I need a memory erase spell," and hits enter into AOL Instant Messenger. And so with that, sorry, that was a lot of talking. It was just a lot of information that had to be passed along in a short amount of time. With that, we are going to transition, lo and behold, to Philip, who, where we last left off, was standing next to a perfectly circular pond that was showing the reflection of Mount Ira, which is affecting the town citizens of Fogwell with extreme aggression, paranoia, violence, all that kind of stuff, and is now also currently darkening the sky. So even though it is essentially like 5 p.m., it is like nighttime here. However, Philip does not know what time it is because he got knocked out by his Fae friend, and found himself by this pool showing the reflection, which Philip knew was important from casting the bones earlier in this mystery and finding the image of essentially a diamond encircled by a circle like a hula hoop, which lo and behold, there it is. Geometric shapes. Philip was led
Advanced
here.
geometry, no.
No. Philip was brought here by Dora, the kind of like resident archfey of the forest that I introduced in my first mystery in season 2. They have a tenuous relationship where Dora wants Philip to be more supernatural, to really let go of the human part that Philip is desperately trying to cling to and hold on to.
She is the Joker to my Batman.
Correct. And Dora is like, Dora has slowly been kind of like turning into this kind of like, she had the appearance of a young woman, but has now kind of begun to stretch out into a very kind of like other mother from Coraline-esque kind of like figure. And she was extraordinarily angry upon learning the supposed location of the Fogwell from Philip's mind. she traveled here, and the fog is so dense here that she cannot see anything. And in her anger, she attacked Philip, only to be blasted back by a bolt of lightning from a much, much older captain, the captain, who is now approaching Philip. Philip, feel free. He recently just told you you're not supposed to be here.
Well, okay, cool. Thanks. Do I still see the fog well, or the what, quote unquote, the fog well? We don't, not confirmed fog well, but a weird disc of water. Do I still see that? Because I know you mentioned that it's hidden in the fog.
It passes in and out, but you know where it is.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I think Philip just sort of glances back at it and then glances back at the captain and say, "Oh, what a coincidence running into you here. I was just on my evening stroll."
The captain kind of he hefts his spear, but not threateningly. Instead, he just kind of brings it up, kind of like an old-timey rifle pose. It's still somewhat charged with electricity, but it's not crackling as hard as it was a couple seconds ago. And he kind of looks at you and he says, "I don't know how you got here, Philip.
I mean, in complete honesty, neither do I.
I've turned you around a couple of times now, and I never thought you'd get this close."
Wait, are you telling me that I got close to this and then you did some trickery and then you turned me in a different direction?
It's not trickery.
Okay, goof, a gaff, a classic prank.
It's work, Philip.
I feel like you could get a better job.
This is what was charged to me, and I keep my word.
Is this your dad thing? Is he the dead dad thing? Your dad's dead?
You see, he... Of course, Philip would bring it up that way. The captain doesn't say anything. I'm so sorry. Give me one.
Oh no, he's dying just like his father.
Excuse me. Hopefully, I muted my mic, but I don't know if the recording caught it.
It'd be funny if it did.
It'd be very funny if it did.
Guys, if you're watching on YouTube, clip that right now with the new YouTube highlight feature.
I've just been doing so many graveling voices that my
my
throat is whacking out on me. Anyway, he kind of you see he kind of sighs a little bit, and he hefts his spear and points it towards you, and he says, "I have no choice now." And he just kind of stands there holding the harpoon at you.
I mean, okay, I feel like we could continue talking about this in a little more. I'm sorry for bringing up your father. I'm not good at social situations when someone has a weapon towards me.
And it's in this moment, as you're kind of holding up your hands, that you watch ripples appear on the normally placid surface of this pond, and they begin to kind of reverberate outwards, and they begin to become kind of very violent, like splashing water and droplets and things of that nature. And you hear what I think we on the surface could closely approximate to as a whale song. However, it reverberates in the air as if you would be underwater. Immediately your ears cap as if you just jumped into water, and the air is kind of pressuring against your ears. I know that Philip is just a skull, but
no, he's got ears.
Okay, cool. And so you feel the pressure hit, and the air shakes first with this kind of very ethereal call before your body begins to shake with it. And you watch the captain does not flinch. He is not surprised whatsoever by this phenomena, but he kind of like watches you, and like you see him sound like somewhat cock an ear towards the sound of the noise, and he hefts the spear back up and looks at you, and it says, "The call of the deep has spoken.
Oh,
It is not your time, nor are you meant to be here now."
okay. There's a lot to unpack there. Do you mean? Sorry, you talk to water often? I talk to beetles. We have so much in common, you and I.
Immediately, I'll say, as you're kind of like ringing this out, you hear the voice of a very young girl, one that you remember as a child, kind of
good.
beginning to sing through the fog, and she's saying, come out wherever you are. I'm going to find you, Philip, and you're going to lead me to the real Fogwell this time." And
Oh,
it like
no.
it like flits through in the distance. You don't feel as though that she is close, but both you and the captain hear this.
You know, it's so hard to please people nowadays.
You need to go, Philip.
I mean, that's an interesting idea. I am somewhat interested, though, in this whole thing that I've been dragged all the way out here to do.
Like I said, it's not your time.
I don't know. I'm kind of tired of other forces deciding what I'm doing and what I'm not doing.
The captain hears this, and you see his grip kind of like tighten on the harpoon. And he looks at you and he says, "Are you gonna make this difficult for me, Philip?"
I don't know. Are you going to make this difficult for me?
And he's gonna, like, the grip is immediately going to ignite like a little bit more like electrical ripples down the harpoon. Is Philip responding like the good, the bad, and the ugly style, like, you know, like,
Y'all got Masha.
I did it.
That's it.
That was
That's a
pretty
win.
good. That was yep. Ooh.
I think, yeah. Well, Philip sort of just stares at this sort of, this show of power, I guess. And I think Philip just sort of looks around and is like, so am I actually supposed to just leave here and not accept any answers to all this bullshit I've just gone through?
The captain kind of like, he has not like released his grip, or the lightning has not diminished, but he just says to you, "If you had come alone, perhaps I could give you some answers. But you've brought her, and now it's best to be on my guard."
But what exactly are you guarding?
And you see he opens his mouth to answer, and immediately there is the sound of like flesh being ripped apart, and you watch as a pale, blood-soaked hand punches through the torso of the captain and in his lower abdomen, and makes a fist, as he kind of like he starts back and like realizes what's happening with the fist, and immediately swings his harpoon around to slash at it, and the fist runs its way back through the body. And you watch the captain stagger over to the side and drop to one knee, still harpoon pointed, as from the fog this spider-like humanoid creature steps out in long-limbed arms, long-limbed legs. The taut, now like completely alien in nature, Dora has stepped through the fog and is now kind of like watching the two of you with large, like clover-shaped, like eyes. And she says, "I found you." What are you doing, Philip?
So I think Philip glances over to the captain and then back to Dora, and it's just sort of like, well, congratulations, you found me. That's one thing you can find tonight.
I heard the call, Philip. Oh, what a wonderful sound it was. It's like a song I had almost forgotten. And now I don't need you anymore. I know it's here. The fog is hiding it from me, but I know that it's here.
But again, you still don't even know what it is or you're even going to do with it. You just want it to have it.
And
I don't know. It just seems as though every single aspect of everything you do is just going a little bit over your head.
I want things, Philip, and the things that I want, I get, whether they're given to me or I take them. It's as simple as that. Only humans complicate the process.
Ooh. Cool. Dora's a fae, correct?
Correct.
Is that do you think that falls under the category of spirit?
Could be.
Okay, well that's interesting.
Why do you ask?
Well, I'm running through my options right now.
I know you are. That's why I say, why do you ask?
Cool. Gosh. No, I don't really. I was gonna bullshit something, but I don't think I can bullshit that. Well, maybe I'll throw it out there. Do you feel like Dora really cared for Philip Jr. the Crow?
Here, in a sense, in that moment in time, or like during that part of her growth cycle, in which she was a young child discovering the abilities that she had, yeah, I would say she cared about Philip Jr. in the sense that, like, it is what spurred her to try and break through her own boundaries at the time, if that makes sense.
Okay, cool. So, okay. Okay, cool. So would you consider that, like, if I had a, like, never mind. Because I was going to say, maybe Philip kept a feather of Philip Jr., and that could count as one of my new moves, such as the sympathetic token, which is like when you carry a personal object that is special to someone, such as a lock of hair, a full set of toenails, a treasured family heirloom, or as such, you get +1 ongoing magic against them.
Do you have to roll for it? Or
No,
is it just
it's just a +1 if I use magic on them.
Fascinating.
But if I fail that roll, then the object is destroyed.
Oh, I see. in order to have, or like, is the idea being that you're gonna show the feather and it's supposed to like make her feel like more merciful, or just kind of like
The idea is I have this object, then
Uh-huh.
I'm going to try. Then, if we consider her a spirit, I'm
Mhm.
going to then use magic to banish a spirit from a person, object, or place.
Excellent. That's what I needed to know. I love this idea. Yes, you can use this. You can use the feather for this.
Okay, cool.
And what I, you can use the feather for this. Um, and you said you want to use magic to banish them from this place.
Yeah.
All right, let's run it.
Okay.
Tell me
Cool.
what. Tell me what Philip does.
Okay. You want me to describe, and then I'll roll and see if it works.
Correct.
Okay, cool. I think Philip starts coughing and then coughs up a very soggy, goopy black bird feather of their crow friend Philip Jr. And I said, I think Philip looks up and just says, "Look at you now. How disappointing." And then I think he holds up the feather and starts chanting dark thoughts and words towards her and then if this works, I'll say something cool. If it doesn't work, I'll say something stupid.
Excellent. As soon as you start saying like dark words, go ahead and roll. She rushes towards you, like scrambling over the ground and the roots and the branches. And you watch the captain kind of like do like a tuck and roll, and he comes up stabbing the harpoon straight into like her hip, and you can see where the harpoon hits her hip, it begins to steam. You get the sense that the harpoon is iron. And he kind of like essentially skewers her and like holds her in place as he's like bleeding profusely onto the ground. Enough time for you to cast the spell. What did you roll?
Okay. Okay. I rolled a 5 and a 2, which is a 7, plus my 3 weird is a 10, plus my 1 ongoing is an 11.
Excellent. So it goes off without a hitch. Tell me what it looks like.
Okay, cool. I think Philip holding out the feather starts floating into the air and say, "You talk of cycles. You talk of how weird you and I are alike. We are nothing alike, you and I. You are nothing more than another corpse in my way. Another corpse to be taken away in the eruption that is I, Philippus Copet, and you shall know my wrath. All the forces and gods that have dared to put me in this place, you're just another one in my way." As like bones of reach out from the ground, glowing green, as they grip her arms and pull her deep into this dark green glowing portal in the ground to banish her away.
Excellent. Yeah, you watch as she's like the skeletal hands drag her down into this portal, and you see she one hand grips onto the edge of the portal, and she like stares at you with her clover alien eyes, and she looks at you and she says, "The mountain will bury all of you." And she slips back into the portal and closes up. And you watch the captain kind of like shift down onto the ground, still up, essentially,
Okay.
but like he's holding onto the harpoon and just kind of like using it as like a support. And as that happens, we are now going to transition. Sorry, Philip.
Will I get a chance to save him?
Hold on to that thought. Make a note.
I will.
Make a note.
My thoughts hold.
And we are going to transition to my favorite dynamic duo, apparently, as Ren and Cole turn a corner onto a suburban street in chaos. Where we had last left off, Cole and Ren had a face-off against Phoebe Marcus, our suspicious tech bro, on the foot of the stairs of the high school, where it was revealed that Phoebe Marcus is not all that they seem, and is somehow controlling several members of the PRET group, the Parent Residents Against Trouble and Terror, that was recently founded in Fogwell as kind of like a pseudo like paramilitaristic neighborhood watch kind of thing. And they were they weren't able to stop Phoebe Marcus because it was public. And so Phoebe Marcus got away. Both Ren and Cole hopped into their van, and as they were heading to check on Fig, they saw 2 cop cars speeding by and decided to follow them. The scene that we see now is you pull onto the street and you see immediately it is ablaze with light. Why? Because there is a house completely engulfed in flames, like essentially three houses down from the stop sign. The flames are currently catching and they're spreading to other houses. You see that the 2 police cruisers have stopped a couple ways away from one of the fire engines that's currently trying to put out the fire in the house, and the police officers are outside keeping a crowd of people at bay. What are you all doing?
I think Ren turns to Cole and is like, well, that's not what I really expected.
What happened?
Good question. We can go try and find out.
Yeah. Yeah. Train.
Oh, you're good. I missed the sound of the train. It's all good.
Teddy's passing by. You better wave.
Old ticks. So are y'all are kind of like slowly creeping up with the van? Are you parking the van and walking up? Like how are y'all assessing the scene or entering it?
I feel like parking the van and approaching is the better way to handle it.
Just honest question for Cole, for the sake of it, are you taking your weapon with you?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think the reason is I mean, it's a fire axe.
Sure.
It makes a little more sense in certain situations to be seen carrying a fire axe around.
Definitely. Okay, yeah, so the 2 of you get out of the van and you step out. Again, you see there's a crowd of like, I want to say maybe 20, 30 people, like being held back by 4 police officers. As there's like 5 firemen holding the hose and attempting to spray down the flames burning off of this 2-story house. Do you all have any moves you would like to use at this point in time, or do you want to progress with RP and then hit a spot?
I was gonna read a bad situation once we kind of get over to like where the people are and everything.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's go
That was
ahead.
my idea as well. So I will allow you to. I will.
Do you want to be open to help out in case something bad happens, or is there something else that you would like to try to do?
No,
Not that you can't do more moves than one if you wanted to, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, I will. I mean, I will help out for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, that was not bad. That was a 9.
Dope. So on a 9, you can you hold 3, or yeah. No, on a 9 you hold 1, correct? It's not. It's 10 plus that you get the 3. On a hold 9, you hold 1, you get 9. What's my best way in? What's my best way out? Are there any dangers we haven't noticed? What's the biggest threat? What's most vulnerable to me? And what's the best way to protect the victims?
I think Ren's first instinct is to check if there's any dangers that haven't been noticed yet.
Sure.
Because Fogwell's a pretty wild town, and I think Ren's first instinct is like, this isn't a normal fire. What caused this?
Sure.
What's around here that's dangerous?
Yeah, you scan the space. There are no signs outside of the house that show what had it catch a blaze. However, the only sign that catches your attention is the house immediately across the street from the burning house has the Phoebe Marcus Realtor sign on it.
Yeah.
And it's currently listed for sale.
Interesting.
Cole's going to start approaching and kind of like to get a feel of the emergency like level, I guess. I mean, obviously they're fire bad, fire hurt, fire out, but like, are people around? Like, are people in fire or are people not in fire? Like, that's a pretty bad,
Sure.
a pretty big thing.
Go ahead and roll. I mean,
I guess
yeah.
I could also read a bad situation.
Yeah, go ahead and roll me read a bad situation. That would be a very good use of this moment for sure.
All right, let's see how this works. That's 8. So I also get to hold 1.
Yeah. So what's my best way in? What's my best way out? Are there any dangers we haven't noticed? What's the biggest threat? What's most vulnerable to me? And what's the best way to protect the victims?
Let's see. What is the best way to protect the victims?
Yeah, as you walk up to the police line, you immediately hear like people just like very nervously whispering to each other in like a frantic manner. Have they gotten her out yet? I mean, she's too old. She the flames are too hot. There's no way she could get out by herself. And you kind of like, you take stock, of this town. You take stock and you're like, oh, this is Maple Street. And this specific house belongs to old lady Brenda. She's like in her late 80s. She walks around with her walker on like a 2-hour walk going around the town every single day to get her son, to get her exercise in. Back in the day, she used to work as like a bank teller. But nowadays she just kind of, she has her moments of exercise. She has a small meal at the Ocean View Cafe, and then she goes back home. But from what you're getting of the crowd, she has not been rescued.
Cole pauses for a moment, and he, thinks back to the sheriff and Miss Merrill saying, you need to kind of keep a low profile for a while. You need to be careful. There are people who are out there that obviously mean harm, that, you've been noticed. There's a danger. And then he runs in towards the fire. Like there are limits to Cole's patience as far as and like
excellent
he can't leave classic Turntables character old lady Brenda
correct
to burn to death.
Mm-hmm.
Coming to a Patreon near you.
Stop.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to make an old lady Brenda emote.
Oh no, we have one here. Let me post it real quick.
I'm fascinated by which one you will choose.
I hope you post this in our public Discord that you can join now.
I'm
So
posting
all
it
of
in
oh, that one.
There it is.
Oh,
There
that
she goes.
one.
That's old lady Brenda.
She's
Old lady
all
Brenda.
legs. All legs.
All legs. She was a model when she was
back
young.
yeah, Definitely before she became a bank teller, obviously.
Before she became old lady, she was long leg Mungus. Oh my gosh, it's long leg the Mungus Brenda. Wow.
Okay,
That's her
sorry.
Christian name. Sorry. So you are rushing towards the house, right?
Yeah.
So you need to get past the police line and past these firefighters. So I'm going to ask you to roll me an act under pressure roll to do this. Also, are you saying anything to Ren before you do this, or you're just running in?
Trying to think of something dumb and cheesy that Cole would say, because you know he'd say something dumb and cheesy.
Sure.
Out of the frying pan.
No.
Hey, you're hot, but you know what else is?
Okay, he's not doing a pickup line. He's
Blazing
not going to stand
saddles,
in the way of
Batman.
that ship.
They could never make this movie today.
I just think he just kind of like looks to Rin for a second, shrugs, and then just sprints. Just like he's like almost apologetically. He shrugs almost apologetically to Rin before
And I think
sprinting.
at this point, like, Ren is looking in the other direction at the sign and is sort of like focused on the sign, so sees Cole and is like, okay, Cole, sure, shrug. And doesn't quite register that Cole's running off yet.
Are there any dangers we haven't noticed? Your friend is running into a burning building if he can get past
Yeah.
Correct. So go ahead and roll me act under pressure. And let's see what we got going on.
I don't suppose this is due to a monster phenomenon or mystical effect.
No.
I tried. All right, here we go. Oh, that's actually not too bad. That is an 8.
Dope. So on a 7 to 9, the keeper is going to give you a worse outcome, hard choice,
Sorry,
or a
7, but doesn't matter.
no
Doesn't
worries.
change.
Worse outcome, hard choice, or a price to pay.
Do it.
You run through this crowd, and you kind of like you're pushing past people, and you like barrel past the police officers, and you see the police officers, like, they reach out, they try and grab you, their hands, like, their strong grips grab you, you push past them, you pull away, you run past the firefighters who, like, yell at you, and you get up to the door that is now slightly beginning to collapse from being burnt. The heat is intense. It's just like watching over you. You know you're gonna be essentially, like, your face is gonna be pink, if not covered in 3rd-degree burns, just from standing this close to this house. And you realize your axe is no longer on you. And you look back and you see that the police officers that had, like, reached out to grab you had pulled your axe off of your little harness, or if you had it in your hand, they pulled it out of your hand, and you are now weaponless in front of the burning house.
Yeah, I was honestly kind of picturing that, so I'm glad that we both kind of had the same image of, basically, he had it in his hand and they grabbed it to try and get him to stop, but he just let go and kept going.
Correct.
So yeah, okay.
So yeah, the door is, like, partially, like, broken down. What are you doing?
Let's go inside and start shouting, Brenda.
All right, yeah.
He's gonna kind of crouch down because, we all know some fire safety. Like,
Sure.
the smoke rises, you want to stay below the smoke.
Yeah. You bust through the door, shake off, like, embers, and, like, begin your search. With that in mind, I would like to pull back to our champion of order, Ren. You just watch Cole run through this crowd, past police and firefighters, and jump into this burning house. However, your attention is on this other house that is not on fire and does not have a crowd around it. What are you doing?
I think Ren has this moment of like, oh my god, what the fuck, Cole? But is like, okay, I'm gonna give I'm gonna give him 2 minutes and then I'm gonna go after him. But in the meantime, I'm gonna investigate this sign because, like, I trust Cole enough, but also burning building. Don't want friend to die.
Sure.
So in the meantime, while everyone's kind of distracted, is gonna go investigate that that other house.
Yeah. Go ahead
see
and
what's up around
roll
there.
me investigate a mystery.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
That's 5.
Ooh, neat.
All right, go ahead and mark me, mark experience. On a 5, or on a failure, I think the book says that you like essentially you reveal something to the monster, or something
Yeah.
along those lines. You hear a door squeak open. And you look up and you see that the house in front of you, this 2-story house, is the front door has now opened. There's just darkness inside.
Oh shit. Ren's gonna go inside,
Okay,
or
yeah.
gonna go try and investigate.
That's just all. Yeah, here you go. So you've managed to split all of us. up.
Apparently, there you go.
Yeah, I love that. I love also the opposition of like Cole going one way, running into a burning building, and Ren going the other way. It's just like, this house is door randomly opens. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, I like the imagery of Cole running into this bright, flaming building, and Rin is going into this dark, shadowy building. It's like
Yeah,
very opposite.
Agreed.
yeah.
Excellent. With that in mind, we are about an hour and a half into the stream. I'm going to call for a 10-minute break. We'll be back in 10 minutes. Please go get yourself some snacks, drink some water, stretch your legs, walk around. We'll be back. Bring your snacks, and we will continue with the mystery after our snack check. But thank you for staying with us so long, and we appreciate you, and we'll see you in 10 minutes.
Peace. Till
man into a tree. Masha's biting heads off at the moment, and it's stretching it out.
Am I supposed to go bottoms up? Sorry.
No comment.
Y'all, we're talking about peeps.
Yeah.
Not children?
live?
What?
Yes, we are live. Yeah.
Oh. Oops.
Yeah.
Um,
Masha's doing nothing. Don't worry about it.
for those of us who do have snacks, do we quickly want to run through what they are?
I have a glass of milk.
Excellent. Dusty's a growing boy.
Straight out of my bones.
I have the classic Lipton tea, and then I have Cool Ranch Doritos.
Ooh.
I have many snacks because I'm hungry, so I have orange and ramen and cookies.
Ooh, ramen
Nice.
sounds good.
Hell yeah.
Here, hold on.
Cool Ranch is also wow.
Christopher,
That could be
I
a
am calling
commercial.
your mother. That is unacceptable behavior.
I'm gonna call your mother and tell her to watch the beginning of this. Stream.
No,
Now we have something.
that was kind of good though. I mean, that was kind of a good crunch.
That was
It was
good
a
crunch.
very good crunch for sure.
It was a really good crunch.
It was.
It was just,
If
Go clip it and add it to your soundboard.
yes, exactly.
throttle.
Add it to your
No,
soundboard,
that would have been so good.
and like you can use it for like if we're stepping on ice.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
like
when I-
you know
yeah.
just foley it. You know like
Uh-huh.
Bones.
Bones, correct, bones. I just gave away what I had, but whatever. I have an orange.
My orange had
Nice.
one tiny little slice in it.
those are the
Like all the-
best. Those are bonus slices. Those are so good.
However, that's the last slice I'll have because not a great snack for keeping. However, what I was gonna say was that Cool Ranch is also my default for Doritos, flavor wise.
I'm
No,
glad we
not
could
not
share
for you,
this.
Dustin.
No, I feel like I'm in the minority. I just like the good old fashioned nacho cheese Doritos. I feel like Cool Ranch is like the one that everybody loves. People can like what they like. It's just, I don't know. I'm like that with a lot of foods. There are a lot of foods that I wish I liked more because people enjoy them.
Sure.
Like fish. I
Mm.
want to like fish so badly, but the only time that I can eat fish is when it's wrapped in seaweed and rice and barely tastes like fish anymore. AK sushi. I like sushi.
I
But
got you. Yeah. Masha Mars, do y'all have any default Dorito flavors?
I
My
like the
hot take
nacho
is I
cheese.
don't like Doritos.
Fair.
I don't like most potato chips, or like most chips in general, actually. Like Funyuns and Pringles are good.
Mm.
And that's like the only chips I'll eat.
What about just like kettle cooked chips, like that don't have like a flavor? They're just probably like a little salty, but
those are
Meh.
good.
They're I don't dislike them, but I don't like them really.
interesting.
Yeah.
What makes them different than Pringles?
I've got no fucking idea. I just know I really like Pringles. And I don't care for kettle cooked chips at all.
Are
They,
you
they hurt my mouth. They're too hard.
are you
Interesting.
a fan of tennis? Maybe that's why you like Pringles,
That could be
'Cause
it.
because they look like the little tennis ball containers.
Oh, I mean, yes, you are correct. They do. I was just wondering where you were trying to connect.
We got there though.
We got
We
there.
did. You,
Yeah.
you did get called out in chat live, so by
Did
the
I?
way. Yeah. For being a ranch hater.
I don't like ranch dressing, but Cool Ranch Doritos.
Yeah, this doesn't taste like ranch.
correct.
It doesn't,
Thank you.
because
Chris.
I
Tastes
like ranch dressing.
cool.
Correct. It has to be cool. I refuse
Put it
to
in the
Not
fridge for a
lame
while.
ranch. Ah.
correct. Hidden Valley. Why is it hidden? Because it's lame. It's not cool.
Boo!
Okay.
I'm booing your
Yeah.
bad ranch taste. Ranch
Uh.
is close and personal to my heart.
Ranch is
Gotcha.
I don't know
the best.
why.
I think
I
we
love
could.
ranch dressing on pizza is the best. Like dipping like a
I don't know about that.
Domino's
That's kinda
pepperoni
too
pizza and
far.
ranch. No, 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 no. If you've never dipped fucking Domino's pizza in ranch, that is like nectar of the gods.
F
like,
tier pizza.
oh my god. Well, yeah,
sorry.
it's of course it's shit pizza, but it's,
It's bad
no. You know what?
pizza.
It's not F tier pizza.
Ranch.
Domino's
F-
is
guys,
solid.
Guys,
Domino's is like B tier pizza, all right. You don't
is
get
at
it because you're
best-
like, yes, I would like to have a
best
delicious
C
pizza
tier.
eating experience.
Domino's is at best a C tier. All my friends agree.
No, Papa John's
It's
is
the
F
worst,
tier.
it's a
Okay, Domino's is like B or C.
Papa John's is at least a B tier.
Okay, no,
Oh
no,
my
hang
God,
on, hang on,
oh
hang
my
on.
God, oh
If
my
we're
God.
talking about value, Papa John's is at the bottom because
They
it's
also-
way too expensive for one.
No, they got good desserts too.
But
Who's
and
ordering
Domino's is
dessert
solidly
from
in the
the pizza
middle,
place?
and of
Me,
course,
I
the
get
best
Domino's lava
pizza
pizza all the time.
is Little
I get-
Caesars.
Papa
Right,
John's
right,
has
gamers?
this, like-
I have never
I agree
had
with
Little
you with that,
Caesars.
Dustin.
I'm scared
I,
of Little
I,
Caesars.
I like Little
Caesars
Caesars
is
because of the
here.
value. Now,
No,
now
this
this
is-
that's
set me-
actually crazy.
This
No,
is-
see,
this is based
Papa
on
John's has a little
chains.
tin that's full of little cinnamon bites, and they're gooey and delicious.
save it for the podcast.
Okay, but we're
We
not
can't,
talking.
we can't, we need-
We're
we
not
need-
talking about.
We gotta
the
get this out now.
We are
or else
talking about the
it'll fest
pizza
up.
The
and the
pizza
fact
is
that
good.
Domino's-
I like the pizza.
No,
Domino's
it's not
has
good.
icky sauce. The Domino
No.
sauce is too sweet. They're dumping a sugar
You're not,
in that
you're
tomato
not wrong
sauce.
there. It's pretty sweet. You're not
It's
wrong there.
too
But that's
sweet.
why the ranch is so good. Is that you've
Look,
got like a
all I'm
hot-
saying is Papa John's got a
tomato-based
lot better
kind
when
of
they
s-
took the N-word out.
I mean, they got more expensive too, though, which is
That was
unfortunate.
also true, but
But that's what's.
a high price for
I
Now,
will
good
return momentarily. I
morals.
have to go find another fork.
Oh, good. Then
No
we
worries.
can continue arguing. The actual best pizza is just local pizza places, right? Like we can all
Yeah,
agree
there's
on
a lot.
that,
Yeah,
like-
there's a lot of really great like local pizza.
This is a
places.
non-issue. No
Yeah,
one's
yeah.
arguing that. But I'm
Right.
talking for the common man.
For the common man, Little Caesars is the way to go because you can
No.
eat pizza and like
No,
not
no,
go bankrupt.
no.
You don't have to take out a
I am
mortgage
like
to eat pizza.
That's
Brutus.
true.
I will murder any Little Caesars I see.
Yeah,
By
me
eating
too, with
it.
my mouth. Yeah,
no,
exactly.
not by
Yeah.
eating it.
So-
by
Solid
chopping
and
it
I,
up
we
into
got-
little pieces.
Right,
Right.
here, so
The only reason you would take a knife to that Little Caesars is in case like the slices are a little stuck together. And you
A little
like,
stuck
you gotta
together,
break them
sometimes,
apart. You know,
yeah.
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 Without tearing the cheese or the bread.
How do we
Oh
feel
my
about
God.
Pizza Hut?
no,
You know-
no,
That's
no.
Pizza
I've never
Hut is
had
if
it.
you're
No
in
for
a
me.
sad mood.
I grew
Yeah.
up with Pizza Hut being like the top tier pizza to order. Because it was like, you know, normally we would go and sit down at a Pizza Hut and eat, right? But like if you ordered it, like that was a big deal, especially when stuffed crust came out. My family was crazy about Pizza Hut. But
Incredible.
nowadays I do think like I don't even get stuffed crust anymore. I'm like the pan pizza's just as good to me, all that kind of stuff. I have begun to somewhat dip more into the Domino's above Pizza Hut bracket for sure. However, I do agree with Dustin that for the value, Little Caesars is almost always has never failed me.
Yeah.
Listen, top tier Domino's pizza is the barbecue sauce, and then you do bacon and pineapple, and you dip it in ranch. Don't dip it in the Domino's ranch. Domino's ranch
Eric,
low-key sucks.
you got it. You've got it.
What did Eric say? You gotta have your own ranch.
Every
And
aspect
it's-
of Domino's is bad, and I will.
No, it's
I will
not.
stick to
It's-
this.
Y'all have
The
Giordano's?
Hug.
The
It's
dough
like a
ain't
hug
good.
in
The
my
crust
mouth.
ain't good, and that's basically the same thing as the dough. The cheese ain't good. The sauce is the worst part. Nothing you can do. It's just Domino's is
No,
failing.
I can't agree
And
with that.
I'm telling you, the time will come. The Domino's will fall, and we will see where we all land.
I like you say that, but I mean it's not like Domino's is the most well-known pizza brand. Like it, you know, like I feel like there are probably more people who are like, Domino's is mid than anything. Like, cause that's me. Like Domino's is that's all right. Like if you put Domino's in front of me, I'm gonna eat it and I'm gonna be happy.
I'm
Like,
gonna
that's just
eat
the-
it because
that's
it's
the
hard
thing.
to fuck up. Bad pizza is still, you know, I can stomach it, but it's a hard thing to fuck up. But you know, it's one of those things that's just like, I have to set the bar. I have to care for myself. I have to be honest. What's good
But-
for me?
But Little Caesars to me it will always be king.
It's
He
been a
he
while
is the
since I've had
Caesar.
Little Caesars. I was very disappointed I never got the official Batman,
calzone.
pizza calzone.
I did get that.
Yeah.
and you loved it.
I mean, it was fun.
It was world changing. You felt like vengeance.
Easy Eric deep dish.
Yes, deep dish. Correct.
Yeah.
The deep dish is pretty good, but
Yeah.
you're lying to
I
yourself,
hate deep dish pizza.
Masha. The distance between you and I just can't look at you the same.
We're making our own alignment chart, and now we know.
Correct.
where
Listen,
it's,
listen. The last time I had deep dish pizza was when I had COVID and I was stuck in Chicago. So maybe I don't like deep dish pizza because I couldn't
Taste
taste
You got
it.
it from the
anything.
source.
Okay, well, that's. Here's the thing, though.
I do think
I
sorry.
also like thin crust pizza. So
I like thin crust too. Thin crust
Yeah.
is delicious.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. No one is dissing thin crust. I feel it's just that deep
I'm
dish
dissing
is.
thin crust.
Well, deep dish is
Oh
just
my
superior. That's just the
God.
point. Like that's the like, you know.
Deep dish is really fun to. But for me, just because I feel like you have to. I feel like you have to eat it with a knife and fork. I know that might be a hot take, but I just feel like it's so close to the level of lasagna that I just have to. I have to go at it with a fork and knife.
Maybe it's just because I didn't
That's
have a lot
the
of
proper way to eat it, is with a fork and knife.
deep
Okay,
dish
well, I'm
pizza
glad
or lasagna. Because lasagna, yes,
Lasagna,
Deep
I
dish-
like to.
deep-
I like
deep
to
dish
go
as
like
well.
Garfield
but
and
deep
go,
dish pizza,
"Oh."
depending on the type that you get, a lot of it. Because I've had deep dishes where it's like a good chunk of the rise is just like the bread, right? And like, but the sauce and the cheese doesn't necessarily, flow out. From what I understand of lasagna, when you cut it open and cut it up into parts, when you pull, it can flow out, right?
Sure.
Right.
So,
But like, you should have some level of flow
Uh-huh.
of your deep dish pizza. If your
yeah, sure.
if your deep dish pizza is not flowing, you've got something
Mhm.
wrong.
Yeah, and Eric also mentions the lasagna thing. I don't think the lasagna thing's a negative in my book. I love lasagna. This is also somewhat heresy, is I really love DiGiorno's deep dish pizza. Just because I think
if
that's
it's not
fun.
delivery, it's DiGiorno.
It's DiGiorno.
Yeah.
Like it's
Okay,
okay, to
but-
go to Kroger and buy a DiGiorno
Yeah.
pizza. That's fine.
You know the thing we do every Tuesday?
Yeah.
Isn't that fun?
I love it. When,
We're all leaving this not friends anymore because
This
of
was
pizza.
legitimately just the closest thing we've done to the Snack Check podcast.
Correct.
We really went.
Yeah.
My closing statement is the worst pizza out there is, and I'm sorry to Chris and Dustin who were not there for this, but when we were at Gen Con 2021
Oh,
together,
yeah.
we got this frozen pizza that was by far the worst pizza I've ever had.
So
it
bad.
just
Awful.
it just had absolutely nothing going for it. Just
No.
none pizza. It
it's
was
to the
so
point
bad.
to where like I wish I had scrubbed it from my memory. I wish
I'm
I remembered
sorry.
the brand so that I could tell people don't fucking buy
No,
this pizza.
Yeah.
it was probably like, where did we shop? Was it Kroger?
I think it was Kroger.
I think it's
Because we don't have
Kroger.
Kroger's over here. It was like the store brand, like cheap pizza, and we were like, I'm glad we made two of them at least, because if we hadn't made two pizzas, we would have just not eaten.
Yeah, literally.
Mhm.
First
I-
night in a new city, just starving.
I shop at Kroger all the time because that's like the place to go if I don't want to go to Walmart, and I never want to go to Walmart. Kroger chips are the best chips you will ever have in your life. Don't get Kroger brand anything else.
Is that your final statement?
That's my final statement.
Chris, final statement.
My closing statement is
Oh no.
okay.
Is it
Hold on.
Is
I
it-
thought
is
he
it
was
gonna-
gonna switch something on his board.
He's gonna soundboard something, for sure.
Okay. This is actually.
Oh, this is the Baba Yaga music that I used. For
I don't
the
know why
last
I
thing.
chose this. This is honestly not a great thing for
It
what
takes
I
a
was
little
trying
bit
to do
for a
here.
build up, yeah.
Okay, never mind. We're not doing a fucking song. Okay, look, brothers, countrymen, come on, think about this.
Oh boy.
What is the truth? I mean, come on, guys. I mean, my cause is just. I just believe in a world of good pizza with good standards, good good family values, where we kick out the racist uncle, or the papa in this case. uh, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool.
That's my pitch. I love the cinnamon shit at Papa John's is worth it.
Gross.
I really recommend it. It's great. I love it.
That's great. I love your closing statement. Come on, guys.
Come on, guys. I mean, really, come on.
Mars, closing statement.
My closing statement is it's spring break next week and I'm going home to the Chicagoland area. I'm gonna eat some good fucking Chicago style pizza and I am very excited.
Hell yeah, please take pics.
I will.
My closing statement is that I got put on blast for saying that we needed to stay on track tonight and allowing this to evolve. But thank you everyone for joining us for this segment of the Snack Check Bit. Stay tuned for our eventual podcast, which will have many more exciting discussions such as this. Maybe the next time we'll talk about pizza bites and what brand is best there.
Don't get me
moving
started.
on. We honestly, you know what? That this has somewhat inspired me to do like an intro and outro for the snack check bit. I think it would be very good in general.
To try to convince us to shut the fuck up at a certain time.
Correct. That's to
You
just
mean?
like we just need these cues. Cool. Oh man, this very fun, amazing discussion that was not planned what's in any way, shape, or form has now scrubbed my brain of what I did have planned. But we're
sorry.
just no, it's all good. It's all good. It's a very good. I enjoyed it very much. Let's jump back to Fig.
Okay.
So Fig, as we enter back into the scene, we'll jump like a couple minutes past where Sheriff Lester has now taken the tape and put it back inside its plastic case to take back to the precinct. He's standing at the door, saying goodbye to Miss Merrill, who was up there with him, when the fax machine begins to buzz. And there's a whole thing about how fax machines work, but for the sake of this, we're just going to say that it passes through.
I know how a fax machine works. Go ahead, it's fine.
But we'll say that the paper begins to pass through, and you begin to see what has been the piece of paper as it slowly begins to go up. However, I will say you do catch part of the conversation between Miss Merrill and Sheriff Lester, and he says, "Listen, I know we've done some, little league stuff in the past, but what you're talking about, that's some major shit. I don't know if you have the juice for that." And Miss Merrill she's like, "Listen, tonight's the solstice, okay? We can tweak that around. I can use that to my advantage. I just need a way to send the spell farther out. And hopefully that won't tax me as much. And I have an idea. But I need the captain. Or at least I need to know where the captain goes." And you see Sheriff Lester shakes his head, and he's like, I mean, where did you even, you're telling me that this friend of yours is the one who's, they're just gonna send you a page from a spell book? And Miss Merrill says, "It's not just any spell book, okay? It's the Librias Vesperum, the book of the evening. This shit's for real, okay? We can do this." And Sheriff Lester just runs a hand behind his neck and massages it a little bit, and he's like, I just don't trust your source. And Miss Merrill's pauses for a moment, and she's like, "You're right. I didn't meet them until this year, and it was online. I was I found them on the forums, okay? They're thinking about moving out here to the West Coast. And when we first met, she was pregnant. Now she's had her first kid. It's just, I wanted to help her out, okay? And it turns out that she knows what we know. And I just couldn't pass that opportunity up, okay? And you see Sheriff Lester just kind of like kicks at the door a little bit, and he's like, fine, but take this. And he pulls an extra walkie-talkie from his belt and hands it to her, and he's like, just, this is military grade, so you message if you need anything, and I'll come find you. Miss Merrill takes it, and she just kind of like, she nods, and Deputy Lester nods, and he heads out the door. At this point, the page has fully kind of like processed through the fax machine, and sure enough, you see written in Latin just like several strings of like instructions for this spell, this memory spell. You see Miss Merrill comes back. She hooks the walkie-talkie onto the onto her kind of like her little vest, and she sits down, takes the page, and kind of like mumbles her way through reading it. And at this point, she looks directly at you, Fig, and she says, "Ash, I'm gonna need some help from you."
Meow.
Excellent. The roleplay on this channel is just chef's kiss.
Hire me to do your voice acting work.
Correct. Never heard a better meow in my life. And you see she kind of like she begins opening up different drawers on her teacher's desk. And you see she goes through, and there's one drawer that's just full of like nubs of chalk and shit, and she pulls out like a larger one, drops it into a bag. We'll say a fanny pack for the sake of it. She drops it into a fanny pack. You see her pop open another drawer, and inside you see a large deck of cards kind of like wrapped up in a rubber band, in a language that, or well, that's a great question. Can Fig read Japanese?
No.
Okay,
I'm gonna
excellent.
go ahead and say
So
no.
It's in a language that you cannot read. And
But now I know it's Japanese.
correct. And you see she like lifts it up, and she just like, shakes her head and mumbles a child's name. And she just mutters to herself. She's like, "This is the most horrifying thing I've ever seen in my life." And you see in the front of this deck of cards, there is a Mr. Mime on just like captured here in this little box, and she just kind of shoves it into a lower drawer. Oh, hey, that is, hey Demo, thank you for the raid. I appreciate you, sir.
Hey, Demo.
We're currently in the year 1998, seeing things through the eyes of our tracker who's in the cat's body. You see that she collects several different pieces of like an odd kind of like bird feather, some type of like weird salt, and just like a hell of a lot of, or like several candles, and she just kind of like puts them into her fanny pack, and she gets up, and you see that she changes out her normal loafers for a pair of hiking boots, and she kind of like holds her hand out to carry you.
To carry me.
Correct.
Sorry, you garbled a little. I wanted to make sure.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I will like take a deep cat breath and then put my little kitty paws into her arms and meow at her.
Excellent. She will scoop you up, and immediately you can, like, she smells like cinnamon and like a little bit of mothballs, but mostly the cinnamon. And she kind of like carries you outside, and sure enough, the like the light's beginning to dim. It's wintertime. It's about to be the solstice, shortest day of the year. So it's already beginning to get dark. And you see she takes you from the elementary school over to the playground that sits between the elementary school and the high school. And she kind of like goes over to the playground and immediately begins taking like a calculated number of steps before coming to the tree line. And she's like, I'm pretty sure this is where the coastal trail starts. Okay. And she kind of like sets you down on the ground, and she's like, okay, Ash, find the captain.
I am an indoor cat woman. Very cool. Can I use my tracking move here?
Why, yes. Yes, you could.
Fascinating. I wonder why I was put into this situation. Oh baby, that was I rolled a 6.
But...
However, my plus sharp is +3. Thank fucking God.
Jesus Christ.
So that's a mixed success. I get to hold 2 still.
Okay.
I would like to Ooh, okay. So out of my options, I would like to follow the trail some distance and figure out how fast it was moving.
Okay. Cool.
I think that those two are the best factors here.
Yeah. I would say you follow the trail, right? You can tell that immediately you begin to pick up the foot prints of the captain. Like it's just like a very heavy type of like a Wellerman's boot, essentially, like one that they would wear on ships and things of that nature. Just very heavy. And the captain's not necessarily doing anything to hide his trail. He's just kind of stomping through the growth. He is taking steps to not step onto like patches of mud, but you are finding like broken branches, parts of grass that's like parted away, and his scent, which just kind of like it's a briny scent, but it's one of those that's just kind of like, it's not necessarily like dead fish completely, but it's more of just kind of like, when
like kelp and
correct,
sand.
Kelp and sand, and it's just kind of like and you follow this, and he's keeping a regular pace, and you follow it a little bit of the ways until you get to a very interesting feature within the Fogwell Forest, and it is it's this interesting meeting of trees where there are like three really gnarled looking oaks and a much younger one, maybe like, if you were to gauge it, like maybe half the age of the other 3, but they're kind of like in between them lies like a very, very small gully, and you can see that their roots of all the different trees have essentially tangled with one another into this like very strange lattice work inside this gully. And it's at this point that you watch Miss Merrill kind of like come up, and you see that she murmurs a quick spell under her breath, and she lights a candle, and you watch the candle immediately burn and like melt down all the way to the base and extinguish. And you watch like on the roots of the tree of these like this lattice work chain network, a like essentially like an arrow points towards one of the larger oaks, and she kind of like shrugs and she says, I figured we'd keep going west. And so she will kind of like, she'll scoop you up, because she figures she walks faster than you do.
I am muddy.
And she'll kind of like begin taking you deeper into the woods in that direction. from there, we will transition back to Philip, my friend.
Oh,
You just banished Dora the Archfey somewhere, not here.
yeah, not my problem anymore. Am I right?
Correct. And you are now alone.
Is the captain dead?
The captain is still alive, although he is bleeding from a huge hole in his abdomen, as he's like leaning on his harpoon.
Okay, Philip's gonna float over and be like, even though you were kind of giving me some harsh vibes, I shall save you even so, for I love you deep down in my heart. I don't know if I still have one. I haven't checked. And Philip is going to use his oh-so classic. Well, actually, first he's like, by the way, do you have like something important, an object of great importance to you, a sympathetic token, if you will?
You watch the captain. He like looks up at you and just like coughs up blood, and it begins to kind of like seep through.
Did you have like a locket of your father? I feel like I remember that, or maybe I made that up in my brain.
Dustin, did he have a locket of his father?
He had something in his workshop. I don't know if he.
Oh, okay, never mind. He's wearing a hat, right?
Yes.
Or like a captain's hat. I don't know why I imagined that. I'll just take his hat and be like, oh, this is cat. I don't know.
Go ahead and roll.
The rules don't really make sense to me. Cool. So I'm gonna roll This Might Sting, which is just use magic to heal 3 harm. But the process is exceptionally painful. And then I guess you can decide if the hat counts.
Correct.
Cool. I roll a 4 and a 6, which is I guess I don't need it.
Yeah, you look at
so
you look at the
13.
hat, and inside the brim it says Tuesday.
He has a hat. He has a hat for every day of a week. That's the man I respect. And Philip just starts chanting Tuesday as skeleton arms crawl out of the ground and crawl up his body and start like forcing the wound shut.
Remind me, since it's a complete success. What does the complete success do? So it heals
it's just
3 harm,
normal magic.
but it doesn't hurt you.
No, it hurts.
But it doesn't scar, right? I think
Yeah,
it uses
on a
scar.
7 to 9, it leaves a gnarly scar.
Gotcha.
On a failure, it doesn't work, and you just put them through a lot of pain, I guess.
All right. Yeah, you hear the captain just like scream in pain as you begin working over the wound. I'll say it's at this point
Tuesday,
that as you begin watching the captain's wound begin to knit up, your world turns to gray as the fog just becomes so dense that you can't even see the captain in front of you anymore. And once again you hear and feel that ethereal echo in the air, the same one that you had heard originally, that the captain had referred to as the call of the deep. And again, you feel the pressure on your ears, you feel the air shake first, and then your bones begin to shake, your body begins to shake. And you watch the fog part in front of you to reveal the pond, the perfectly circular pond, except it no longer reflects the mountain. Instead, the pond is awash in flame. What are you doing?
Is the captain still at me and below me?
You can't see the captain anymore.
Oh, okay, cool. I think Philip looks at the fire, and
so you step up to the pool.
yeah, well, maybe. What am I okay? I think the magic's done, so I don't think there's worry of me like dropping the captain and then he dies. I think Philip. I think Philip sees the fire, this glow of the fire, and just sighs from the familiarity of the flame he has seen so often. and I think he just floats up to it, I guess.
Cool. Yeah. Once you get up to the edge of the pool, you look into it and you see that the flames are inside the pool itself, and you watch as you watch the image of a house on fire and beams and wood falling in front of your perspective, as you see Cole like looking through, mouthing words that you cannot hear, stepping through the flames, dodging debris left and right, coughing from the smoke. And I am now going to transition to Cole. However, Chris, at a moment of your choosing, I would like you to decide where Philip arrives.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
You
I think
are
I know what you mean.
you are watching what we're about to go in through. If there's a point in time in which you're like Philip wants to be there or Philip wants to help, you will then find yourself in that space. So you let me
Okay.
know when that happens. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Right on. So we will now transition to the burning house that Cole finds himself in. Cole, you are calling out for old lady Brenda, correct?
Yeah, probably not shouting, "Old Lady Brenda."
Sure.
I feel like she might frown on that, but yeah, like Miss Brenda, Miss Brenda.
Will you go ahead and roll me act under pressure?
Okay.
Or actually, sorry, pause that. You will roll it in a minute, but we should push forward the scene a little bit and actually come up with a hazard. So you come to a crossroads within the house. You're dodging debris. The heat is intense. You're staying low to avoid most of the smoke damage. You come to a point in which you can go into the kitchen, or you can go upstairs. What are you doing?
Probably clear the first floor first before going up.
Okay, fair enough. So you go into the kitchen, and you can see that the gas stove that had been there is now just like a smoking crater, and you can see that it's just like it's been exploded outwards. As you kind of enter the scene, you can see like again like streak marks from the explosion, like across the kitchen itself. Several items are on fire on the ground. The walls are on fire. The wallpaper's on fire. This room is still very much ablaze. What are you looking for in this space?
For Brenda.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me read a bad situation.
Let's see what we can find about. Okay. It's gonna be a 9.
A 9. So with a 9, you hold 1. What's my best way in? What's my best way out? Are there any dangers we haven't noticed? What's the biggest threat? What's most vulnerable to me? And what's the best way to protect the victims?
Man, one of these is probably the one I should choose, but I am going to choose what's the best way to protect the victims in this case.
For sure. So you step into the kitchen space, and immediately you hear like a very weak banging on a door that the refrigerator has like slammed in front of. What do you do?
Let's get that refrigerator moved.
Okay.
Let's go.
Go ahead. Yeah. So it's covering this door that would look like maybe goes to a pantry, something along those lines. The food and like the main weight of the refrigerator is still in there, and like also it's just like a huge ass metal box. So I'm going to ask you to roll me act under pressure.
Okay. That is a 7.
A 7. Dope.
7. Yeah.
Worst outcome, hard choice, or price to pay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to say the price to pay is time. Like you attempt to shift the fridge, but however that physical exertion requires oxygen, which you have very little of, and so you find yourself winded and like your breath becomes short, and so you're like, I need to clear out everything inside this refrigerator before I can move it. So you that's
Indiana Jones it.
yeah, essentially. So you pop open the fridge and you start kind of like
And Philip's inside.
that's what you're gonna do.
Sure.
Excellent, I love it. So you open up the fridge and suddenly your best buddy Philip is sitting inside of the refrigerator,
So
eating some leftover Dominoes.
No. I would
No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, I think the funniest part is that Cole doesn't even seem surprised. He just goes, "Philip, there you are."
Oh,
As if
best
it's the
buddy.
most normal thing in the world.
Oh, how are you doing?
He's a little hot.
Okay, well, let's get going. And Philip's going to instantly get out and help try and move the fridge.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll say now that now that you have essentially someone helping you, I'll say, Philip, go ahead and roll me the help out action.
Cool.
That is cool, yeah.
It is cool. Okay, I got a 4 and a 3. 5, 6, 7. Plus my 1 cool is an 8.
Dope. So what I will say is, so on a 7 to 9, your help grants them a +1 to their roll, but you can also expose yourself to trouble or danger. Dustin, remind me, your roll was a 9?
Just now,
Yeah, the one that you had just done.
it was a 7.
It was a 7? Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Roll
Hey.
act under pressure again with
I
your
help.
+1 from
Okay.
from
Here we go.
Philip.
Here we go.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
a 7. Plus 1 is 8.
Aren't you and me a pair?
Excellent.
I'm not, like, unless I'm dealing with monsters, Cole is not very cool.
So
I'll just say.
between the two of you, y'all are able to move the fridge far away enough for the door to open and a little old frail lady hand to stick out and kind of like grasp at the air, as you've kind of opened it. However, as you're pulling, Philip, you're kind of like pulling at the legs, you hear a crack and a burning beam from the ceiling slams down on you and pins you onto the ground. And I'm going to ask you to take 1 point of harm.
Okay.
As this now burning beam is sitting on your chest. With that in mind, we will now transition over to across the street to Ren. Ren, you are going into the house. Into the darkened door of the house. Sorry, I can't. I think you're muted.
I am muted. Yes. I think they're gonna like creak the door open first, just so that it's not like some random lady on the other side who's just like looking out to check. But if there's like no sign of anyone, they're gonna go inside.
So you're looking in through the door.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you see, as you kind of like stare into the room, it's dark, right? The only light that is really illuminating this space is from the burning house across the street. It looks as though the house has been, like, some furniture has been removed for the sake of viewing, though there are like some like cookie cutter sofas and chairs for people to like sit in within this living room space. And you do see that people are sitting inside of this cookie cutter furniture. You see 7 individuals sitting kind of like in this kind of like ring in this darkened room, and they are all wearing sweatshirts that say Pratt on them. And they are all have AirPods in their left ear.
Do I see the Phoebe Marcus?
You, from your quick glance, you do not see Phoebe in the room.
All right, I'm gonna try and sneak in the house.
Through the door that was open for you.
I guess so. I don't think Ren's gonna, because Ren is still of the mindset of like Cole's got 2 minutes to come out of that house before. Sure. So I don't think they're gonna try and do it. They're trying to get things done fast rather than efficient necessarily.
Fair enough. Okay, go ahead and roll me an act under pressure to sneak into this house.
That's a 10 plus 2 is 12.
Okay, sure. So as like when you stick your head in, you notice like there's kind of like immediately there the living room is in front of you, but to your immediate left there is a small little hallway that ducks into a larger room across. So do you want to, with a 10, I'll say the best option for you is to move to the hallway on the left as opposed to this room with all the Pratt members within.
Yeah.
Is that what you would like to do?
Yeah.
Cool. So you duck into the left, and immediately it's not a large hallway. It's like a very small little space that leads into a laundry room. The laundry machine and the dryer have been taken out. The hookup is still there, but there's a lot more space in this room because of the machines being taken out. However, you see that there's a door that leads to outside, and then there's a door that leads deeper into the house, but they're both closed.
I think Ren is gonna kind of they don't want to open a door because they don't know how creaky this house is.
Sure.
So I think Ren is gonna kind of peer around the corner and try and see get a better read on these Pratts in this room. Like, are they looking at the fire? Do they appear to be just like powered down? Is Phoebe Marcus there?
Okay.
That kind of thing.
Go ahead and roll me let's say read a bad situation.
All right. That's a 7. What's the biggest threat?
You hear a muffled scream from upstairs. And immediately the 7 members in the room all speak in unison, and they say, "Shh, shh. This is going to a greater cause. It'll all be over soon."
Ren is running upstairs. Fuck being quiet.
Okay, all right. So you were breaking your stealth in order to get up the stairs?
Yeah.
Okay. So you get to the foot of the stairs when the 7 members of the Pratts like essentially start awake and like start rushing towards you to grab you. Are you going back up the stairs, or are you attempting to fight them?
Going up the stairs,
Cool.
trying to find the source of that scream.
Excellent. Go ahead and roll me another act under pressure roll to get up the stairs, as they are right on your heels.
Shit. That's a 5. That's a 5. I did finally roll a frog on my one dice.
Oh,
though.
what a sad occasion. Oh my goodness. Glad you got
This
the
is
frog.
why
It's
the
it's
logo
the
needs to be
one.
6.
Truly.
It
Yeah.
needs to make you happy when you see the logo.
So, you start up the stairs and immediately like 4 sets of hands grab onto you and slam you down onto the stairs, pinning you down. I'm gonna need you to take a point of harm from just like slamming face first onto the stairs as it like busts onto your cheek, and you feel the grips of these individuals just like holding you down, and you hear one of them speak to you, and it says, "Oh wow, you found me a lot faster than I thought you would. Kudos."
Having your fucking sign outside your target makes it pretty easy.
Well, maybe a part of me actually wanted you to find me.
Well, I'm here now, so fucking
Yes, well,
let me go and we'll face off.
oh, that's no fun. Besides, and then you hear another muffled scream from upstairs. I'm a little busy.
Miss being a big buff snake guy.
As soon as you, out of character, think that / probably for Ren, one of one of the members of the Pratt speaks, and it says, "I'm sure this would have been a lot easier for you way back, when you had the help."
God, Ren is fucking pissed, but they're gonna try and just like their shoulders are being held down, so they can't really like grab at their sword.
Yeah, I'll say, to clarify, your legs for sure are pinned. They are currently trying to like make your way up to you, but I would say your arms are still somewhat free. Sorry, I should have clarified.
Then Ren is going to try and just like punch the nearest one in the face.
Okay. Yeah. As soon as you cock your fist, the character who's nearest to you, which I would say is like a 45-year-old woman, something along those lines, like mid 40s, she looks up at you in your eyes and she says, "Are you gonna punch poor Marion in the face? She's just a postal worker. She's got 2 kids at home. What do you think they're gonna say if she comes home with a black eye, a bruised face, busted lip?"
Ren does not care. Ren is gonna throw the punch.
You're still gonna throw the punch? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll me kick some ass.
Finally, something I'm good at. God fucking damn it! That's a 6.
Really? Holy shit.
Yeah.
We're not doing great.
So go ahead and mark experience again.
Yep.
Holy shit. I don't think any of y'all have ever. This is fascinating to me. I don't feel like any of y'all have ever rolled a. Well, I'm sure it's happened at some point, but it just doesn't happen a lot. On a miss, you get your ass
failing
kicked
multiple times in a row.
Well, failing kicks some ass specifically. I think that's the thing. Is like on a miss, you get your ass kicked instead. You suffer harm or get captured, but don't inflict any harm back. You go to punch like out of anger and like maybe a little bit of fear, and before your fist can connect to their face, one of the Pratts holding your leg rises up and puts their entire body weight on your kneecap, and it pops, and your knee twists in an unnatural anger as pain explodes in your leg, and I'm gonna say you take another point of harm. as soon as they do that, the one who popped your knee looks at you and says, I'm doing you a favor, really. You know, I don't want... Well, I suppose a bad reputation for you and your friends isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's very entertaining to watch you all try and be the heroes.
We're doing a better job of being the heroes than you are.
Oh, well, I'm not trying to be the heroes of this town. There's somebody that I care for, and everything I do is to be reunited with them again.
That sounds toxic as hell, my dude.
Oh,
And Ren is gonna try and, like,
get out.
push through this pain and get out again, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Go ahead and roll me act under pressure, and I'll say with a -1 because of your leg.
Okay.
And we'll say moving forward, you're going to have a -1 ongoing.
Act under pressure, you said?
Correct.
That's a 13 minus 1.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. So, yeah, you set out to do what you plan to. So, tell me how you break out of this this hold and get up the stairs.
I think Ren, like,
You could flavor this in any which way you would want to.
yeah, I think Ren is just so, like, they're practically, like, shaking with upset because this thing knows how to push their buttons really well, and they just, like, grab the guy who's, like, fallen on their knee and, like, push him back, and then as the others kind of clamor to fill that void, they, like, use their good leg to kick at these other prats,
Sure.
and then sort of clamber up to the top of the stairs.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll say it's a mad scramble and your adrenaline is pumping, and like even though the pain is intense in your leg, you manage to get up and like scramble up the stairs fast enough to where they like the prats on the stairs like almost kind of like tumble in front of themselves and like get stuck and cannot follow you. You get up to the foot of the stairs, or to the top of the stairs. There is a door to your left. There is a door on your right, and then there's like a small little banister with a little ledge, and there's a door to the very far end. And from the bottom of the stairs, you hear them all call out in unison and say, "What will you choose?" I'll tell you now, if you choose wrong, I can't promise you're gonna save anybody.
Can I read a bad situation here?
Yeah, absolutely.
And try and, I don't know what I'm trying to do. God fucking damn it. That's a 5.
Mark experience.
I have gotten 4 experience this session.
That's wild. On a miss, you might misread the situation, or reveal tactical details
You're
to your
safe,
enemies.
friend. You're among friends.
So you hear kind of like a whimpering coming from the door immediately to your left. And we're going to go ahead and say, because you failed, you swing that door open and you look inside and you see there are 3 Pratt members standing over another Pratt member who's kind of like curled up in the fetal position. And they're just kind of like standing around them. They have not moved to attack you. They have not moved to like block you. They're just standing there watching this person like in the fetal position, somewhat like trembling.
Interesting. I think Phoebe Marcus is not in this room, so Ren is going to turn to the next closest door.
Okay. Yeah. So now you go to the door that was on your right. You limp towards there. You open the door and you swing it open, just as the final gasp of air escapes from this man's trachea. You step into the room and you watch Phoebe Marcus is holding up the head of a man that has been decapitated. And you see that his hand is like his whole body necessarily is just red with blood. There's like a couple spots where there's not any, but you see that his hand had moved across, and that his fingernails are like extended out into short, sharp blades, and has essentially like just finished cutting the head off of this body. You watch the decapitated body slump down to the ground and thunk onto the hardwood floor as the head that he holds sits there, and he looks at you and he says, well, I told you.
Ren is going to like just mutter to themselves, "I'm gonna fucking kill you," and lunges at him with his sword
Okay.
out.
Go ahead and roll me kick some ass with a -1 because of your leg.
Oh, thank fuck. That's an 11.
Okay. Yeah. So on an 11 with kick some ass, you get to choose an extra effect. You gain advantage, take a +1 forward, or give it to another hunter. You inflict terrible harm, and you suffer less harm, or you force them where you want them. What do you want to do?
Ren is fucking pissed. They just want to inflict terrible harm.
Okay, yeah. So how much harm is it altogether with your Kopesh?
It is 3 with my Kopesh, plus the 1 is 4.
Excellent. Yeah, you move forward, and tell me what it looks like as you attack Phoebe Marcus.
I think Phoebe is kind of like smirking at Ren and does not expect Ren to move as fast as they do with their leg. And Ren leans onto their good foot and basically just like pushes forward, almost like jumping at Phoebe, and with their sword to just try and get the sword between them and Phoebe in a way that is damaging to Phoebe. So I think they're kind of
like
holding.
Oh, I see. No, continue. My bad.
Like taking the curved edge of the sword and sort of pressing that into Phoebe's chest.
Yeah, for sure. I will say that the harm from this comes from your own hand biting into the Kopesh as you're like slamming it into Phoebe's chest. You push Phoebe up against a wall, and the Kopesh digs into their chest like a good maybe 3 inches. Phoebe let go of the head, and you hear it thunk on the floor behind you as you slam him into the wall, and you watch the smirk has not left, and he like as he's kind of like coughing blood up, he kind of like the two of you stare each other down, and he says to you, what does it feel like to be so afraid? To not get here in time?
I'll fucking teach you what it's like to be afraid.
And you hear he begins to laugh, and he's like coughing up blood, and he says, I don't need to know. I am fear. That's why I wanted to meet you. When you... Well, what you did in Memphis.
That
God,
wasn't me.
the fear you created. Oh, it's... Oh, I could only hope. My brother would have loved to have seen it.
And I think Ren just pushes the sword into Phoebe's chest more and just says, "That wasn't me. That wasn't fucking me."
Um,
And I think just for flavor, their eyes are are this kind of blue with gold speckled through,
mhm.
but their eyes are like slightly turning red at this. Their irises.
Hmm. Yeah, you're digging through. You hear a snap as the blade crunches through the sternum, crunches through several ribs, and just like begins like digging through the upper torso of his body. And he's just like chuckling and coughing up blood. He's not fighting you, and he just kind of like looks at you, and he says, "You say that, but I can see it." And you see he kind of like lifts up a bloody hand before dropping it. He's like, "You miss the power. You miss it. Because with power, you can inflict fear."
Monsters should be plenty afraid of me now, as they were back then. I'm more in control now.
And you see, I'm assuming you're still pressing in the blade.
Yeah.
You give kind of like a final shove, and it takes a Herculean amount of strength, but you hear your blade snap through the spine and slam into the wood across, as the top half of their torso is now beginning to kind of like slide on the metal. And this entire time they're just like looking at you. And from their left ear, you watch and hear the sound of squelching as this fat, pale, slug-like creature inches out, balloons out of the ear, and drops onto your hand that's holding the hilt. It's like a heavy, slimy weight on your hand, and you immediately watch it with a speed that is insane begin to crawl up your arm towards your ear. What are you doing?
Ren is like has let go of the sword. Has let go of the sword. Is just trying to like.
Get the thing
I
off.
think they even like fall onto their shoulder to try and like squish it if they can.
Dope. I like that. Go ahead and roll me act under pressure.
Damn it!
Hey, luck exists.
That's a 6.
It's just gonna.
Luck does exist.
Shit, you're right. Oh, but I'm so curious. Like, I'm so curious to know what happens if I fuck this roll up.
This could be such an interesting character moment.
Also true.
Or you
I think
could
I'm just
use
gonna let it play out.
Hey,
You're gonna let it play out?
I
Yeah.
support this completely.
All right. So. Oh man, I have to look. I'm sorry. I have to keep looking at the book because y'all don't fail this often, and I just want to make sure
we saved it all for the final.
Literally,
session.
just to throw me for a loop.
We are determined to make this as complicated as possible.
Act under pressure, on a miss, things go to hell. That's what the book says. Holy shit, dog. Okay, so this slug, right, is about the size of like, I want to say it's like, like, have you ever had like a Chipotle burrito?
Yeah.
It's like the size of a Chipotle burrito, and it slams onto your hand, crawls up. You're running around attempting to get it off. As soon as it gets to like about your shoulder, you jump onto the floor hoping to squish it under the weight of your body. And as you hit the floor, you do not hear a squelch. You do not feel the balloon popping of what its body would be like. Instead, you feel a cold, like slimy presence on your neck, and then you immediately feel something probe into your ear. And I'm going to say you take I'm going to say you take a point of harm. And as this thing begins to burrow into your ear, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
And we are going to, oh man. Okay. You know what? As it burrows into your ear and you yell in pain, I think we are going to transition. But I will be asking some questions of you when we return. Holy shit, it's 10:15. Okay. All right. So we hop back to Fig. Fig, you and Miss Merrill have been walking for maybe like half an hour. And you see that for the most part, she's been carrying you in her arm. You've passed like 2 landmarks so far. The first one is a boulder that has been cracked cleanly in the middle. Like it is an impossibly straight line within this large boulder. At this boulder, Miss Merrill continues forward, but the final one is it's almost kind of like a door of fog. That's kind of like here within the forest, the fog is extraordinarily thick, but like where there is just the normal layer that covers the forest floor, there is just a large structured fog object. And the two of you step through it and you come across a very small grove. Within this grove, there is a perfectly circular pond. And at the angle in which you've entered it from, you can see it perfectly reflects the silhouette of Mount Ira in the distance into the water. Mm-hmm. Right? The fog is thick here. And immediately the two of you hear the sound of crunching leaves. And Miss Merrill ducks over to some foliage to the side. And as she kind of like holds you to her chest, the two of you hear a voice call out and say, "Arr! Who goes there?" You're gonna meow.
No.
You can choose to if you want to.
No. I say nothing. This is Miss Merrill's show.
You see Miss Merrill kind of like puts you down onto the ground, and she like looks at you in the eyes, and she says, "Ash, I need you." I can't do a gravelly voice and whisper at the same time, so just pretend that this is Ash, I need you to distract the captain. Just go run off, and I'll be right behind you, I promise.
She's polydactyl, so she can do thumbs up. Canon cats with polydactyly can do a thumbs up. I'm like already like running out of her hands, and I have started meowing, and I am trying to like run behind the captain, and I'm doing that thing that cats do when they're like howling.
Oh,
like,
sure.
Distressed.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna actually attempt it. We don't have time for that.
Sure.
No, please.
No. We're good. No one needs that.
Go ahead and roll me. Let's say an act under pressure roll.
Okay. That's a 7.
Okay, so on a 7, worst outcome, hard choice, or price to pay. As soon as you like rush out to the captain, you watch as he had been smoking a pipe with his harpoon in his hand, and you immediately watch as the flame from the pipe and any smoke immediately gets blown away by extraordinarily strong wind that seems to emanate from his own body. It like starts like near his beard and like his long hair, and just kind of like ripples down his jacket, his clothes, until it hits the ground and like sends out this kind of like wave of just like, it smells like like an ocean squall, like it's like it just like slams outward. There's like a bit of moisture to it, and you as a tiny cat get picked up off your feet and you are thrust into the woods, into the darkness, and it's in that moment that you wake up. You open your eyes and your head is laying on Miss Merrill's bed. The lamps have been turned on, and you see that Miss Merrill, with her hair down, is sitting upright in the bed, no sunglasses, and she's just watching you. And you can see that her eyes are the same, like, oh my gosh, I said it all the time.
Cataracts?
Yeah, they're the same cataracts that you had seen in Ash's eyes when you first fell asleep, and she's just watching you.
I think I immediately sit up and like look at my hands to make sure they're real people hands, and I think I am so sweaty,
Sure.
so sweaty.
Deep breaths.
Oh my god, what the... Miss Merrill, you have a lot of words that you've got to say to me right now. What happened in the woods? Was that just your cat? I feel sick.
You see she's kind of like, her hands are kind of like laid over her lap, and she has, she has a very kind of like pale countenance, a very reserved countenance, and you see that her hands are like somewhat trembling, and she turns to you and she says, I needed someone to know the truth. I don't know how far you got, but you were seeing my memories through my familiar.
So after all of this, you are a witch, after all.
She kind of like, again, with her cataract eyes, she kind of like looks down at her hands and she says, not anymore. Not really. That night, I cast the memory spell, and I used the fog as a conduit. It washed over the hunters. It washed over the town. And anyone who had any memory of Daniel Foster's death would find themselves forgetting about it. Including his 16-year-old son, Jamie Foster, who never knew what happened to his dad or where he went. Just that one day, he was gone.
Does that mean that Carnunos doesn't remember what he did?
I can't tell you how much Carnunos remembers, because I haven't been back to the forest since. When I cast that spell, like I said... Oh, one not sure if I said it. Something went wrong. I didn't know what I was going to be paying for. All I knew was that I had to save lives. Over the next couple of years, my eyesight began to leave me. It wouldn't be for maybe 7 or 8 years after that day that I would open my eyes and see nothing. But every day, a little piece of me was being taken away. Do you understand why I'm showing this to you?
I can think of a few reasons, but how long was I out? I'm sorry. I don't know where the rest of everybody is. There is a man out there who wishes to do harm against the town, and we've got to go find him and put him to rest.
Your friends are there, and I can tell you where they are, but I need you to listen to me. Do you understand why I showed this to you?
Out of game. I think so. I don't want to be wrong.
Fig just winks and walks away.
I know. I'm trying to think of like. I need a moment. Okay. Back in game. I think that Fig like looks Miss Merrill right in like directly into her eyes, knowing that it's not going to register either way. Takes a deep breath and says, I mean, you're giving me a reason to protect the town. You're showing me that there's magic that we don't understand in the woods that can be used in probably not good ways. You're showing me that you trust me. To share something with me that I never thought I'd know about you. It was unexpected. Am I right?
She reaches out and she puts her hand on your hand, and you can she's, her hand is pretty much just like, it feels like bone, pretty much, skin, and then the bone underneath, there's not a lot of like muscle or anything to it. And she puts her hand on your hand and she says, I do trust you, Fig. And that's why I showed you what I showed you. But what I need you to know, my eyes, they weren't the sacrifice. They were a cost, yes. I loved Jamie Foster like a son. And for 25 years, I've had that boy look at me as a parental figure. And I'm the one who took his father from him. Sometimes, when you have power, you can make choices. And but if you're human, you live with those choices. You live with what you chose, with what you decided to do. I saved this town for a time. And all it cost me was the truth. There's things coming. I told you when we first met. I've never felt an anger like this, and it's only gotten worse. And I also told you that your greatest strength was that you weren't from Fogwell. But now you're here. You know the people who live here. You know those who will be here after it's all said and done, whatever way it goes. Carry that. Make sure your friends understand. This was why, and you see there's like a quiver in her voice, and you see that even like there's a tear beginning to like form on her eyes, and she's like, this is why I didn't want Cole to be a part of this. That's why I asked you to keep him out of it. That boy is too loyal, too helpful. He cares too damn much, and I don't know if he has what it takes to see this through and not get ripped apart by the end.
I can't make any promises, but I don't want to see that boy ripped apart either. Miss Merrill, this isn't a goodbye, is it?
She like lets out kind of like a shaky sigh, and you see the tear fall, and she quickly wipes it away, and she looks at you, and it's strange now that you've kind of like stared into her eyes for a little bit. You can tell like the webbing of the cataracts are in a pattern that you would recognize as like a kind of like a magic circle. That's all you kind of like get from the webbing in and of itself, but it's just because you've stared at it long enough to be able to see that there is a pattern. And she looks at you and she says, excuse me. Sorry, could you repeat what you asked me? My apologies.
I asked her if this was a goodbye.
Oh yeah.
Basically.
She wipes her eye and or her tear away, and she says, "No. This isn't a goodbye. The thing that you want to fight, it's still out there, and it's strong. It doesn't just feed on people's fears. It can bring them right to the front. That's what it feeds on. And it got to me. And I became afraid. I've always been afraid that I would die and no one would know the truth. I'm sorry I took you on that journey without telling you about it. But I needed someone to know in case something happened.
There is no need to apologize. I only wish that I could have seen what was happening for longer. I I'm not the kind of person that can provide comfort. I'm um I'm sorry that this is something that you've had to carry by yourself for so long.
And you see she kind of just like pauses for a moment. And it's at this point that Ash the Seventh jumps onto the bed and kind of like curls up into her lap, and you feel a familiar weight climb onto your shoulder as Little Man scrambles up. She looks at you and she says, "It's the price I paid. And sooner or later, you and your friends, you're gonna have to decide if you'll pay it too." Ooh, the music ended right there.
Spooky.
Ooh. Unfortunately, I think I know everybody's answer to that choice.
You see she kind of like looks away at you and looks out over the open window where in the distance now in the dark you can see like a small speck of warm light in the distance, and she nods and she says, "I think I do too." And we will go ahead and transition. And the way I will run this is we're going to jump back to Philip and Cole. And once we return back to Ren, Masha, you let me know at what point you want Fig to show up during Ren's interaction. So back on the house on fire. So, Philip, you have been pinned on the kitchen floor by this beam that's just covered in flames. Cole, you've watched this happen. The fridge has been pushed out or pulled far enough to where you can see Miss Brenda's hand kind of like flailing through the door crack. I'm going to go ahead. I want to ask Cole what he's doing first.
This is like a telltale choose who to save moment. You gotta. This will. You'd think this will affect the story later on, but we both die regardless.
Damn.
Yeah, house
I forgot.
collapse
Is
not
Chris the
much.
last keeper of the season?
So Philip is currently pinned under a burning
Pillar. Yeah. Like
Pillar.
a beam. Yeah.
yeah,
Just
like from the ceiling, and Brenda is
still,
not even really visible, right? She's just her arm is kind of waving out.
yeah, the door's just cracked enough for her to just like stick her hand through. Yeah.
This sounds like a Telltale game. This music does. Plus you. We didn't hear it, but we did see it. Yeah. Okay. I mean, Philip is closer, right? Like he's right next to me, basically, when this thing fell.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Let's get that burning thing off of my good buddy Philip, and maybe he can even help put up the fire.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and roll me an act under pressure roll.
Would you take protect someone?
Ooh, interesting.
I think protect someone is to prevent
Yeah.
like the harm.
Yeah, I wanted to do it when it was falling, but
Correct.
kind of.
No, I don't jump.
It
On
was-
this.
it was-
Don't jump in the way of the bullet.
It was the price of his mixed success of suddenly he's thrown into danger. But
Which makes sense.
we'll say stick with act under pressure. Yeah.
Well, that's boxcars.
Ooh, shit.
Oh.
Take that.
Damn. Yeah. Tell me what you do to get this beam off of your friend.
Um. So we've already emptied out the fridge and stuff, right? Like that's
Yeah,
something
I'll say you've gotten enough out. Yeah.
like we've yanked a few things out, and I think that what no that wouldn't be strong enough. I guess it depends on how big this beam is.
Yeah, I would say it's probably maybe 8 feet long, and then like maybe like 2 feet by 2 feet on either side. So it's like, could a normal sized human lift this up? Probably depends on how much Cole benches, but like or squats, I guess. But like but like, yeah, with the proper kind of like, you could lift it, or at least like shove it off of him, you know.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what he does is he shoves his shoulder into it and kind of like pushes it away from
Okay,
on top.
fair enough. Yeah, you go ahead, Philip. You watch as Cole immediately springs into action, like grabs the beam and just like shoves it off of you. What are you doing?
Well, I think Philip is about to. I think Philip sees Cole and is about to say, "No, please leave me." Oh, you've already done it. I
Listen,
think
somebody had to get all of the luck that Mars dropped. So
I mean,
Apparently,
does
I
that
think
one
Philip sits up, and I guess I will do. I guess I can. Oh, I don't know. These things are kind of weird in this situation, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I guess I could try to use magic to fix this situation, maybe, but I feel like there's nothing really specific besides the old reliable do something beyond human limitations.
Sure.
And so I think I'm gonna try to set out some of the fire, I guess,
Okay.
because the fridge has moved, right? Or is she still stuck behind
She's
the
still
fridge?
stuck there. Like, y'all managed to move it a little bit before
Ooh.
the beam fell. So like she's still stuck
Okay.
there.
I'm going to use magic
Okay.
to move the fridge
Okay. Go ahead and roll.
because I feel like we can get out of the fire afterwards. I feel like I don't know.
Sure.
I think the building's coming down regardless. I don't.
Fair enough. Go ahead and roll me use magic.
Okay, that's a 3 and a 6, so that's really good. That's a 9 plus my 3 magic is a 12.
yeah.
Tell me what it looks like. How do you move the fridge?
I think Philip he looks around at the fire and you know, though he does not have a face, eyes of recognition, for he has been in such situations before, surrounded by the flame. I think he outstretches his arms, and the oxygen of the air moving in the fire sort of condenses into ash that like forms a hand that like grabs the fridge and like drags it across the floor out of the way.
Sure. With a very loud scraping, you move the fridge and the door swings open, and both of you watch as Miss Brenda's frail form just kind of like busts out of this door that like inside was filled with smoke, and it comes billowing out, and she's just like, she's coughing and like curled up on the ground, just like racking from the inhalation. What are y'all doing now?
Is there a window? Can I see
Yeah, there's
a window?
There's
Okay,
like
cool.
there's like 2 windows that can be opened outward on top of the sink, which is like right next to the broken or the busted gas stove. I'll say probably from the blast they're splintered, though they haven't broken all the way out yet. And then I'll say there is one more kind of like larger window past the kitchen into kind of like the dining room.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at Cole and sort of give a nod of I trust you to be okay because you're so amazing. And so Philip flies and grabs the Turntables classic old lady Brenda, and I try to fly out the closest window.
Okay. Um. Okay. Interesting. Go ahead and roll me act under pressure.
Okay. Please, I need more. I need more luck. Oh.
I don't know if that's good or a bad one.
Snake eyes.
Oh,
Really?
no.
Philip uses old lady Brenda as like the battering ram through the window. Anyway, there's no modifiers to that.
I +1 cool.
Okay.
We get to a 3.
Holy shit. Okay. Holy
Again,
shit.
there's always luck, I guess.
Yeah. You
Oh
could use-
yeah, might as well. Fuck it.
That's the spirit.
Mm.
Is this the
We
first
never
luck
use
of the
luck.
campaign?
Yeah, I don't think we ever use luck.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I hate using it, but who the fuck?
So you are using it, Chris?
Yeah, I guess.
All right. So you get it. Auto 12, auto success. Do you have any triggers for your luck?
When I spend a luck until the end of the mystery, backlash on my spells will be extra nasty, which feels like I could just avoid that.
Sure. Yeah, your plus weird is definitely high enough, unless you roll garbage. But yeah.
Yeah. Unless I do what I just did.
Unless you do what you just did. Yeah. So you, I did burn a
thank you,
luck
Eric.
at the finale of season 2. You're correct because I almost died. Philip, you pick up Miss Brenda. How are you busting through the window to where it's like you almost fail horribly and then autocorrect just enough?
I think you know the scene of Aladdin escaping the Cave of Wonders.
Sure.
I think Philip grabs old lady Brenda and hugging onto her, starts flying in the air, and another beam like starts to fall down, and he just narrowly is able to be quick enough to like swoop under it and avoid other falling debris as he sort of starts spinning like a drill and just smash through the window.
I was almost expecting Philip to be like with his skeleton grin, like reaching down to Miss Brenda, being like, "Do you trust me?"
I can show you the outside. It's not on fire. It's pretty good out there.
Yeah, y'all bust through the window. Immediately, like, yeah, even though there's still smoke in the air, just like the excess of oxygen is like you hear Miss Brenda just like take a huge inhale and like begin to cough violently. But the two of you are now outside the house, out of the immediate danger of the fire. Cole, you are still within the house. You begin to hear the creaking and moaning of the frame of the house, no longer being able to bear the weight of just like with all the broken and burned wood and like not foundational problems, but like burning through the frame and things of that nature. What are you doing?
Which window did Philip jump out of?
I'm pretty sure it was the one by the sink.
Cole's gonna jump out the other one.
The one in the dining room?
Yeah, he's just gonna basically like fire surrounding him, and so he's just gonna like so that he doesn't like collide with an old woman lying on the other side of the window. I think he's gonna try going out the other window.
Yeah.
Philip gently sets down old lady Brenda. Cole instantly drops on her.
Mario commenters.
Here comes Randy Orton with the RKO.
Is that Cole Van Helsing with a steel chair?
The people's elbow.
Yeah, okay, so I'll say as you are running, actually I will say this just because it's somewhat important and I need you to see it anyhow.
Okay.
Go ahead and roll me an act under pressure roll to go ahead and break through the window, and we'll kind of work off of that.
Here's hoping, gang.
Oh, the vibe is off.
So that's gonna be a 7 total. after with everything together.
Cool. So worst outcome, hard choice, and price to pay. So
I keep rolling.
as you watch Philip and Brenda bust through the window, your eyes immediately kind of like travel down once more to the giant eyesore that is the exploded gas stove, and your eyes, you squint for a moment and you could swear you see the gas valve has been essentially wrenched off, and more than likely is what caused the influx of gas within the room, so that by the time anybody struck a match to light it or anything of that nature, it just went up in smoke. And you can see, again, the gas valve has been wrenched off. Gauging this, you lose a bit of time, and debris falls, and you immediately get hit with this heavy, searing pain on your shoulder as a block of wood, it just kind of like burns itself onto your neck, falls to the ground. I'm going to ask you to take a point of harm. And then you immediately do a 180 and tell me how you break through the window of the dining room.
Action movie, slow motion. It's not gonna be like a head first dive because that's stupid, and that's how you get concussions. But like he kind of like leaps up into the air, curls almost into a ball, and puts his feet first. His shoulder. That makes more sense. And just puts his whole body weight into this slam into the window to shatter it out and roll across broken glass and embers as he lands on the ground on the other side. Like it's not graceful. It's not like he's actually looking like a, but it's obvious he was trying to look like a hero, superhero jumping out, but instead he's like, ha, 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 ha.
Excellent. You roll over on the grass and just kind of like feel you can still feel the heat from the house, but just like in comparison, the grass is cool, and you're just kind of like laying there, staring up as the smoke goes up to an already darkened sky. And from there, we are now going to transition back to Ren. Ren, where we last left off, something was inserting itself into your ear. And so here are now my questions to you, Mars, as well as Ren. What would you say is Ren's most superficial fear?
Superficial meaning like snakes or the Kool-Aid Man. Okay. I think I don't know why my two options were snakes or the Kool-Aid Man.
Let's unpack that, shall we?
Is he the Kool-Aid or is he the glass?
I think it's that one Tumblr post that's like, what's your greatest fear? Mine's being left alone. Oh, mine's the Kool-Aid Man, but now I feel stupid. Anyway, I think Ren's most superficial fear is I think it is snakes.
Okay. Yeah, immediately your eyes begin to, like, you're rolling around on the floor of this room in this house that is seemingly empty, and you begin to watch as snakes begin to come out from the floorboards. They begin pouring out of the vent, and they're all beginning to slither. And as they reach you, you feel them wrapping around you. You can feel they're kind of like they're it's not slimy. It's just kind of like someone like clammy and like just cold-esque, like, leathery skins kind of like begin to wrap over you and like, around your neck and things of that nature. Like, it is flooding your head with a fight or flight response.
Mm-hmm. I think Ren is like scrambling, trying to run away, but they've like fallen on their shoulder, and their knee is out of commission, and so they're just sort of like worming around.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I want to ask the following question. Moving past the superficial, what is an everyday fear that Ren has?
I think it is failing to protect the people they care about. So specifically their friends.
Sure. As you kind of like prop yourself up to try and like scoot away from the snakes, you look over and you see that the snakes have essentially blanketed the floor now, and you see the figures of Ren, Cole, Philip, and Arthur all like being like these snakes is the fangs of the snakes are in their necks, their faces are cold and like still, and their bodies are being like twisted up by all these coiling masses of snakes. You begin to feel your breath shorten and your heart hammering in your chest.
Yeah, I think Ren is going to try and like. I think they've begun like screaming, and they are crawling over to I think Arthur and trying to like tear these snakes off of him.
Sure. Yeah, you're fighting through the masses of snakes, like throwing them to the side and just trying to get to where Arthur is. Final question. What is the fear that Ren would never say out loud?
Losing control of themselves, of Ren, not reverting to a office, but becoming a Ren who is out of control.
Sure. As you as you're crawling your way to Arthur, you see that the snakes kind of like begin to reveal the faces of the Pratt members from below that you had like kicked and punched, and like you're still scrambling over, and like as you like scramble over their faces and their bodies, you rip away their flesh and like tear them to shreds as you're desperately trying to make it to Arthur. And once you get there, you come face to face with him, and you realize that your hand is holding your Khopesh, and your Khopesh has been driven through Arthur's chest. Yes?
Hey, can Fig show up?
Yes,
Can Fig
absolutely.
show up now?
You immediately hear footsteps on the stairs, and Fig, you bust into this room, and you see Ren is laying on the ground trembling as this bulbous, like giant pale white slug is forcing its way into their ear.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Wow, I don't want to touch this with my bare fucking hands, but I don't think I have a kukri.
There you go.
Hold on, let me remind myself what a kukri looks
Just
like.
start stabbing at Ren.
Oh, it's just a little blade. All right. Very cool. I would like to try to stab the thing, please.
It's on Ren's neck.
That's fine. You know what? You know what? I don't want to touch it. It's so gross. Sorry, that's Masha.
So
That's
are you
not
like
Fig.
throwing the?
No,
Okay.
Fig is afraid of no things. Fig will run up to Ren and just try to like wrap her hands around it and just like pull it off of Ren.
Very interesting. Go ahead and roll me act under pressure.
What do you mean interesting? What do you mean? What would you
You've
do in
decided
this
to
situation?
touch the slug too.
It will depend on what you roll, my friend.
Oh no! All right.
You touch this thing, it's gonna instantly grab on you. We have to answer 3 questions. Philip and Cole are gonna run in, pull it off of you. It's gonna get all of
All
us.
right. Act under pressure. You say I got an 8.
Okay. Worst outcome, hard choice,
I don't wanna-
or
I don't wanna-
price to pay.
No, it's cool. Everything is fine. Don't worry about it.
You tug at it, and it is like, I mean, you lift it easy. The problem
Okay.
is you also lift Ren's head with it.
Oh, beans.
You get the
All
feeling
right.
that it is stuck in there, and that if you want to rip it out, you will cause Ren harm.
Cool. Very cool. I would like to determine how the fuck to remove this from Ren without causing Ren harm.
Ooh, okay. Um,
Please, it's disgusting.
Sure, yeah,
Please,
yeah,
Saul, please.
I am aware. Okay, go ahead and roll me read a bad situation.
You got it. Oh, I rolled a 6, but I have +3 sharp, baby. So that's
Excellent.
a 9. Read a bad situation.
Hold one.
Yep.
What's my best way in? What's my best way out? Are there any dangers we
you.
haven't noticed? What's the biggest threat? What's most vulnerable to me? And what's the best way to protect the victims?
I kind of want to figure out how to get out of here. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna leave. Just kidding. What is the best way to protect Ren in this situation, please? Thank you.
Interesting. Okay, this is what I'll say. So
Okay.
you tug on the slug. It does not detach, right? I did not mean for that to rhyme.
She tug on my slug
She
till
tug on-
I...
She took on my slug. It do not attach.
And you still have your kukri. Now, like, in your head, on what you like, the limited information that you know about this thing, like, you just need to detach it. But
Okay.
it itself is not letting go. And so, like, there are situations in which, like, when a tick burrows itself into you, sometimes, you know, you grab with the pincers, but you don't get the head, right? You feel like you're going to need to take your kukri and kind of, like, very carefully try and go around and detach the thing before you can fully pull it out. Also, it is, like, pulsating in your hand. It's like there's like it's like twisting and wriggling within your hand. You can feel the muscles constricting as it is still trying to force its way into Ren's ear canal.
You have done psychic damage to Masha. You've done psychic damage to me, to my family, my children, and my children's children will all feel this in their bones. It's a part of my DNA now. This
Psychic
is
damage
awesome.
to you, psychic damage to your
Damage
cow.
to your cow. Yeah. Cool. Is Ren? You were saying that Ren is like shaking. Are
Trembling.
they still shaking?
Correct.
Trembling. Okay. Did I encounter prats on my way in here?
You like yes, you did see them, but they were kind of like in a more kind of like shut down state.
Okay.
And I will say, I don't believe Fig knows about the AirPods. So it was like one of those things where you like just kind of like ran past them.
I haven't. Yeah, I
Correct.
don't know anything that's going on right now. Period.
Why are the Prats here? I don't know. They're just hanging out.
You just ran past them, and because, like, you know, Miss Merrill had essentially told you that Ren was in danger, and so like you ran inside, but yeah, that they're all kind of like in a state of just blankness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to pitch something to you.
Okay.
I know that this game doesn't have like DCs or anything,
Sure.
but I feel like Fig would not try to take a sharp knife to her friend's ear when her friend is like shaking.
Sure.
Now, we just talked about how Little Man is like a bodyguard who's trying to intercept danger.
Okay.
Okay, let me
I'm
all right,
listening.
hear me out.
Don't make a little man eat that.
and read a bad situation gives me a +1 forward while I use the information that I have. So
Yes,
I got that
correct.
going for me. Can I do we think Ren would stop shaking if Little Man like curled himself up in Ren's arms as like a comfort or support?
Make
don't
little
know.
man crawl
I
in
don't
the other
know.
ear.
No. There's no more ears, no more ear crawling. I'm just like to intercept danger, bodyguards protect, like I don't know, like
I like that.
Maybe I'm just imagining Little Man's tiny paws alternatively like holding down Ren's head, you know, just like two little paws.
No, I like that. I like where you're going with this. I will say. Do. I will say this is yes. You can just have little men do that, and I will say that will trigger an act under pressure roll from Ren within this state that they're in to break out.
Okay.
Oh, you're gonna make me roll, huh?
Correct.
I don't like that at all. Don't. I'm supposed to be rolling. I've got a +1.
Question for you, Mars: are you still using the same dice?
I am, and I don't know why I've not switched them out, but I've already rolled them.
Okay.
No, you didn't. We didn't see it. You could, you could just.
I got an 8 though.
You got an 8?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Dope.
That's
The
acceptable.
worst outcome.
Not a failure, at least.
Yeah.
Hard choice. You become the slag. I don't know. I don't even know. I'm just throwing shit out there. The tension's so high. I'm trying to cut it.
I'm going to give you I'm gonna give you a.
Please don't hurt little man. Please.
Oh man, this is so.
If you give Lil Man an AirPod, I don't even.
I'm
know
gonna
what
give
I'm
you-
be doing.
Oh my god, I would murder you. I would fly
There
out to Texas
is-
right now.
Dude, the the fucking realtor's voice coming out of Lil Man, that's a cool fucking image.
No, it's not. No, don't put that in anybody's head. Don't do it.
It'll be putting in Lil Man's head.
So, I have decided what it will be, but I will not tell you what I have chosen until
That's good. I like
after you have woken up from your stupor. So, Ren, within your nightmare state, that's essentially thrown you into a debilitating panic attack. You feel like you can feel, even though your body, like you are still face to face with a dead Arthur, and like watching, like as your hands are pushing in the Kopesh, in a sensory fashion, you feel your hands holding onto little man's body, and like the warmth of him kind of like seeping through, and like something in your head clicks, and you're like, this can't, like, I know this isn't real. It just feels so real, and it's activating just like the new, like the what is it, the amygdala or whatever creates like the adrenaline of, and like the fear factor in your brain is just like fucking going or out of control.
The amygdala is your fear center.
There you go. Then yes, the amygdala to just like fucking fire off on all cylinders. But you can now feeling and realizing that it's an illusion, and feeling this anchor of like little man being like in your real hands. What does Ren do within this nightmare scape to essentially break out? And also,
I think they.
if you want to like bring Ma'at into it in some way, shape, or form, you're welcome to. But otherwise, your call.
I think they just like collapse in on themselves. Like they just center, like almost like ball up around little man. Just like they close their eyes. They are trying not to listen to anything. My video has frozen. That's fine.
If
You
you,
look very morose.
yeah,
It
if you
was
want
very
to,
morose. I think it caught me mid blink as well.
it's okay if you want to turn it off and on real fast. It should be fine.
Oh no, it's just
Perfect.
loading.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I think Ren is just like centering himself around the little man, trying to anchor himself to that point. And I think they are like listening for Ma, but not necessarily hearing anything. But like whenever they're talking with Ma, there's this sort of like, it's almost like a white noise in the background, I think, like a very even like sound of balance, if that makes sense. And I think they start like hearing this ringing, hearing this white noise. So they're not necessarily hearing Mott, but they're sort of being comforted by the presence of some of some sort of Mott power or something like that.
For sure. Um, uh, so I think if you want to try and close out of Discord and then hop back in, that's okay. Joe,
I'm switching to my other camera.
no worries. Fig, what you watch is Ren slowly stops trembling and kind of like brings little man like closer to their chest, and immediately instead of kind of like this very shaky trembling of like gasping, their body just kind of begins to vibrate a little bit, and you watch veins begin to kind of like pop on their neck and on their forehead. Not pop, but like they become like much more apparent, and you watch the slug kind of like, and you're feeling it in your hand. You feel the slug kind of like invert into itself, and there's this sickening pop as it just kind of like flops out into your hand, and you can feel it like wriggling, and you can see
Chris.
again, it's like it's a hefty thing in your palm, and you can see like it has like tendrils that it's like is sticking out of like where its mouth would be and things of that nature, and it looks like, I mean, they look like little centipede arms, but like long and tendrily, that like essentially like latch in and like dig in, but if you're holding it in your hand now. However, as it squelched out into your hand, you notice that this pale yellow liquid kind of like squelched out with it, out of like Ren's ear onto the floor, and it's just kind of like somewhat coating like its body now. What are you doing?
You didn't
Me?
need to
Yeah,
add
correct.
that last detail.
Me?
You just didn't need to.
Actually, Chris, I did.
I'm Masha's trying not to vomit. Thank you very much. Man. I don't have a container to put this bitch in, so I'm gonna stab it with my kukri, please.
Hell yeah.
I don't want to save it. I just want it gone. Please, I'm begging.
For sure, tell me what it looks like.
What looks like stabbing
Yeah,
it?
correct. Are you holding it and stabbing it, or are you like
No,
throwing it onto the
no,
ground
no,
and
no,
stabbing
no,
it?
No. I am
You tossing it up into
like-
the air and
Put it in your
Definitely
mouth
not.
and then run the
Oh
knife
my
across.
yeah, I hand it to little man and I say, here, my guy, I got you a new friend.
you're gonna sashimi that shit.
No, I think I'm going to no, Chipotle burrito size. I
Correct.
don't need another frame of reference. I imagine I'm like already on the ground,
You could toss
and
in the air.
I am not tossing the Chipotle burrito worm creature covered in earwax.
And then
question
shoot it in
mark
the air, and then it
into the air.
explodes the
I'm
yellow
not
juice
no,
everywhere.
I'm not doing that. It's not happening.
I'm sorry, please continue.
I put down. I don't know how much of this is streamable. I put here. I take knife and I stab. That's it. This is how it goes.
Okay.
It's foolproof.
Yeah, it
There's
doesn't
no throwing in the air.
for sure. Yeah, it does, like it's a defenseless slug.
Hibachi grill.
So
Is it?
you stab into it, and as soon as like the blade pierces its thin, fleshy, stretched out slug exterior, you watch as this like liquid bursts out of it,
Oh, no.
and you hear the chink of some kind of object within the slug, and you pierce into it, and the blade goes into the floor, and you watch it wriggle. The muscles are twisting and like writhing, and then eventually it just lies still, and the liquid kind of like begins to leak out of the body. At this point, Ren, you're beginning to stir, but Fig, you notice from the initial like detachment of the creature, you can see on the hardwood floor there are tiny little pale
No.
orbs
No.
on the ground, and you look over and you see Ren rise, and there are tiny little pale orbs in their ear sliding into their ear canal. That's the worst outcome.
What?
It's not worst outcome. It's worst outcome. It's not.
Oh, thanks.
Soulmate
Thanks for
horrors
raiding with
beyond
12 people. Well,
Perfect timing.
Filled with
the
comprehension.
the grossest part of this mystery, and y'all decided
Yeah,
to join
our-
now.
our
Thank you so
keeper-
much for coming.
Oh
Our
my
keeper, our lovely keeper Saul, just had a horrible brain control creature oviposit in
honestly, good
one
time
of our
to
party
join.
members' ear. And now there's eggs in there, and you know what? I'm gonna keep that shit to myself for a hot second because Ren is going through it.
By the
what
way,
is-
Ren.
Listen. What is the hard object that I slammed into that was within the body of this creature?
Are you
Don't do that.
are you dissecting this creature on the floor?
Okay, is it dead for real?
Yes,
Is it like for sure dead?
correct.
Oh, this raid was powered by the apocalypse, so roll act under pressure.
Do I have? You know what? I definitely have like a water skin on me, like a water
Sure.
bottle. I'm gonna.
Thank you so much for the raid, by the way.
Thanks for the raid. I'm going to take whatever squishy water bottle I have in my possession, and just go up to Ren, and I'm gonna I'm sitting on the floor, cross-legged, holding Ren's head, and I'm squirting water into their ear to try to flush the orbs out.
Oh my
Please.
god. Oh my god.
I think Ren is just like in shock and like crying and
Yeah.
is not even registering
No,
this.
So-
I am at the risk of traumatizing my party member further. Whatever this issue is, we deal with it now. We deal with it right now. Please.
So, to clarify, for the objects that have
Yeah.
now slid into the ear canal, you are
Yeah.
squirting water into this ear canal in the hope of flushing it out,
Flushing it out. Yep.
rather than pushing it further in.
I am not a doctor. I am not a physician. Fine. I'll take a napkin.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Ren's just sitting there sobbing and Fig's like poking their
Digging.
finger in her ear.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me act under pressure.
Don't use Q-tips. You just end up pushing it deeper in.
Do I still get a +1 from read a bad situation?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Might as well.
Wait. Oh, 4 dice.
Hey Fig, if I end
This
up
has
with
truly
ear-
broken me, I think.
horrible earworms in my character's ear for the rest of the season, I'm blaming you.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault. You said act under
Mine's Saul.
pressure, right?
He did it.
Hey.
That's
hey,
fair.
You said act under pressure, right?
Correct. Please tell me
Oh,
you didn't get you didn't get
no.
snake eyes.
I got a I got a 6.
You got. Oh, okay. Oh shit.
Total.
Would you like to use a point of luck?
Yes,
Okay.
please. I am using a point of luck. I am not risking. This is not the time to fuck around. There's a creature inside my friend's ear. And the tracker luck special. Super fun for everybody involved. When you spend a point of luck, the hunter becomes the hunted.
Oh my
Watch your
god.
back.
Excellent. All of you who will be the keepers after me, note that. Note
I'm
No,
that.
not,
don't write
well,
it
I don't
down.
have to worry about that.
Don't write it down. Don't
I'm
worry about it.
a
Just
ways
forget.
away.
Simply forget.
I've
So-
already written it down.
Good. So, yeah, you take a napkin. We'll say maybe your pinky finger because it's the smallest one. You go in there and you begin scrubbing out these like small little pustules essentially, and you're scooping them out. Some of them pop, and you can just see like tiny like pus essentially popping from them, and you scoop out as many as you can get. You keep going until inevitably you're no longer scooping them out. And at this point, I'll say you turn and you see that the body of this slug is beginning to disintegrate into just kind of like a puddle of, it's essentially liquefying. However, you do see, and Fig, you're the only one who sees this because Ren is still recuperating.
I'm so. The whole time this is happening, I'm just like, I'm so sorry, Ren. I gotta get. Don't worry. Just pet little man. Little man, you're doing a good job. And he's just like,
Little man.
You watch
good.
before it disappears into this kind of like into this very caustic, not acidic per se, but like just like very dense liquid. You see a small crystal that you punctured. And it is, those who would be doctors know that it is in the shape of the amygdala. Before it shatters.
Classic shape.
And kind of like, well, you know, and and dissolves into the liquid. Yeah. Fig would not know what this object is.
Fig is
Weird
street smart,
fucking
not
rock.
book smart. What color was the crystal?
It was a crimson. So, just to recap what essentially just happened. This Chipotle burrito-sized and heft in weight slug was burying itself into Ren's ear, causing them to have essentially like a panic attack, having their fears realized. When Fig comes around and tries to detach it forcefully, realizes that it's super stuck in there, and then gives Ren, little man, your Pine Marten to kind of like cuddle with, which helps Ren within the nightmare state break out. However, because of the mixed success, as you pull out the creature, it squirted its eggs, and you stabbed it through into the ground while going to scoop out what had been squirted into Ren's ear. God, I love Monster of the Week. So, with that in mind, we are going to go into our epilogue. So, strangely enough, the fire is put out. The firemen, the police officers, and the crowd all watch as Cole, along with his frog-hoodied friend, come around the corner with Old Lady Brenda. The people cheer and look relieved. The firefighters immediately kind of like take Old Lady Brenda from the fire to, who had been in the fire, to the EMTs and whisk her away to get looked after. Cole and Philip, the two of you watch as several Pratt members file out of the house across the street, all of them kind of like somewhat holding their ears, which are like, they're kind of just like holding them from like mild bleeds. As Fig and Ren, the two of you make your way downstairs, Ren with their busted knee and like just having gone through this whole ordeal, you watch as there are several different spots on the ground where there are that caustic pale liquid is beginning to disintegrate into the floorboards and just kind of like sit down. Several different spaces where whatever had grown from this main slug in the ears of all the other Pratt members has slipped out and died along with the main creature. The four of you reunite, busted and broken, knowing that some lives were saved, others were not. It would later be found out that the heads that Phoebe Marcus was cutting off, he was dissecting them for their brains and taking out a swollen amygdala gland. that had been, by the words of the doctors, seeped in its own fluids until essentially like just kind of like began to swell essentially, and began causing like abnormal like paranoia and extreme fight or flight, things of that nature. And the body of, or Frank's head was never recuperated. Now, we're just going to transition very quickly after the end of it to Ren. You've been patched up. You have a crutch, and like your knee has essentially been kind of like split. Like your kneecap wasn't broken, but it was essentially like popped out of place, and like the doctors had to like, you know, get it back in there. And so like you do have some kind of like cover or like cast, and you get back to the hotel room where Arthur has laid out 2 sets of really cheap candles and has a bag of Chinese food. And on the television, he has a movie that Philip swore was a romantic comedy. And I would like to ask Chris what movie Philip would consider a romantic comedy.
Like, what was the beginning of that? Any genre that I think is a romantic comedy, or there was a big.
Essentially, Philip told Arthur, "This is a romantic comedy," to Philip, and Arthur was like, "Okay, we can watch this," because technically, it is still Valentine's Day.
It's so true. Canonically, this was all happened on Valentine's Day. It's the Batman.
It's the Batman. Excellent.
It's all about the Riddler flirting with Batman for 3 hours.
Correct. You walk in, Ren, just as the Riddler's going, Ave Maria, and like
I didn't hear a word of that.
Discord he was doing the Ave Maria. We'll see if Discord if the stream will actually pick it up or not. But I do apologize. I was not ready to do a falsetto. And so but Arthur just kind of like immediately drops the Chinese food and kind of like rushes over to you and says, "Oh my God, what happened? Are you okay?"
And I think Ren just sort of like slumps into Arthur's chest and says, I don't know.
I think Arthur will kind of just like take them into his arms, and they'll just kind of like slide down onto the floor at the foot of one of the 2 beds in the motel room, and just kind of like hold Ren as we pull out from the motel room past the fog-ridden forest and land on Mount Ira in the distance. And that is where we will end the mystery for tonight.
Good God, good gravy. The turmoil.
Yeah.
Damn, right.
End of session questions?
Yes, end of session questions. So,
did we conclude the current mystery?
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
I
you
sure got a lot of questions.
Did you
Did
save,
we save
some...
anybody from certain death or worse?
Turntables classic, old lady Brenda.
Old Lady Brenda.
Mean, at this point, a mainstay.
Absolutely.
Find out all the extra, all the extra old lady Miss Brenda content to find her epic backstory on our Patreon right now.
Oh my God.
For everyone here who's not around, we don't have a Patreon
we
anymore.
do not have a Patreon
Did we
anymore.
Did we learn something new and important about the world?
Bugs, burrito bugs.
I learned that crystal magic exists, so didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, cool.
Bugs.
Are we just gonna completely ignore Miss Meryl's backstory that we learned as well?
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
that's
fuck,
the
we
thing.
learned all of it.
Thank you,
You
Dustin.
know the whole thing you
Appreciate
did
you,
this
buddy.
session?
Appreciate you.
The thing you were doing for
sorry.
this session and
To be
all of
fair,
last session.
So you did in
Listen.
fact scar us for life. With
Yeah.
the
You
ending.
kind of
know-
left us with a big fucking scene.
You are
there.
correct.
You know the meme image that's like the brain, where like there's a bunch of stuff in it, and then like someone gives you a new piece of information, doesn't go in. My entire brain right now is just like horrors.
Burrito slug.
Just all horrors. I'm sorry. So I would say yes.
Oh
We
my
sure did
God.
learn something new and important about the world. And did we learn something new and important about one of the hunters? Fig's
Learned
not a
all of Bren's
doctor.
fears.
Yeah,
That's
fears.
true. Excellent. That will be 4 or
2.
yeah. You get 4 yeses, so mark 2 experience.
Cool. I level up.
So do I.
Congratulations.
Jesus Louise, guys.
Didn't think I was going to, but
Very fun stuff. I guess before we break for the night, do any of you have any questions, comments, concerns? Everyone doing okay? I know it was a lot, but I just want to double check that we're all still good.
Yeah.
Traumatized,
very
but
well
good.
done.
Cool.
And I say that as a joke. I'm actually fine. I've dealt with
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
nastier shit
No,
than
you're
that,
good.
but-
I will. Y'all. I'm positive y'all will have answers once stream ends, and I will give you as many answers as I can. But for the time being, it is definitely much longer than the last couple of sessions that we've had. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign us out. We appreciate you so much. We love you so much. Please be kind to yourselves. Go unclench your jaws, get a drink of water, stretch, and we will catch you next Tuesday for a brand new mystery of Monster of the Week. Good night, y'all.
Good
Love
night.
you.
But
Good night.
this is gonna be in my dreams for a while.